Happy new month, everybody. Welcome to the month of love. Socrates was the one who famously said that an unexamined life is not worth living. So I admonish you this month to find the strongest, most meaningful relationship with yourself. Welcome to the AM show. My name is Weija-Gbawe and I do this with Benjamin Akakpo. Now, what are we doing today? In a moment, I'll serve you the news. And right after, we get into the news review. Executive Director of Rise Ghana, Awal Ahmed Kamriama, is our guest, joining Benjamin Akakpo for the news review. After that, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi will present a segment in AM Sports, bringing you all the latest updates and then the big stories. Today, we'll talk about health. Our conversation will center on why our hospitals lack basic equipment like defibrillators. These are contained in our series dubbed Ghana's Sick Hospitals. We'll share a piece with you and then speak to relevant authorities. Our guest, Bright Emisanyako, who is the national chairman of the Ghana Coalition of NGOs in Health, will also be our guest. Dr. Market Nawani, Deputy Ranking Member of Parliament's Health Committee, will also be speaking with us today on the show. And then we'll talk to Dr. Kwame Sarpong Esiedu, who's a CDD fellow. All that later on. Now, also on the show, we've got AM on Wheels. Today, we'll be in the Weija-Gbawe constituency to interact with residents there on what they want their member of parliament to fix before the tenure expires. Myself, I'll be out there live from the constituency. So if you're in Gbawe, please come out and talk to me today. We'd also have a stint with Keda Health and Wellness Center. Now, this company provides a wide range of natural health foods, products and services such as neuropathic wellness consultation, detox solutions, wellness therapies, pranic or energy medicine, therapeutic massage, natural beauty products, and coaching sessions. Our guest, Christine Chum, founder and CEO of Keda Health and Wellness Center, will also join us on the show later today. And then we'll come to you to have your say, like we've not done that all week, but today we'll try, because we have a lot of issues to discuss and time just goes without you getting your turn. But today, hopefully, we will do that and then you can have your say. Like I say, the show is about you and for you. So stay with us. This is the AM show. Let's settle now for the news. This is still the AM show with me, Weija-Gbawe, bringing you the news. Now let's get into the details. Motorbike and vehicle owners will from today pay a minimum of 75 cedis for carbon dioxide equivalent emissions on internal combustion engine vehicles. Government has begun implementation of the Emissions Levy Act 2023, that is Act 112. However, Ghana Private Road Transport Unions is unhappy with the decision by government. The group is already threatening to pass on costs to their passengers. Abasi Moro speaks for the GPRTU.
Because we're already paying on the fuel we've been buying. We would have remind them on that. So this shows it's a deliberate tax. Either we are paying two taxes on one item, then we have to scrutinize the other taxes we are paying. Who knows? Maybe somewhere, hidden somewhere, we also pay another tax. There's no way professional drivers of this country will work for free or will work and somebody thinks we are on the road to joke. That is our future. When we recently spoke about the 20% that come 24th, we came out and announced openly that this is excluding the eco tax. It's also excluding the new VAT on automobile. So if they implement it, so be it. We'll make our calculation. I'm very happy we have implemented the 20% that we came out with before this eco tax coming into existence. So we'll just share the burden. Those looking for the taxes, if they are really looking for the taxes for Ghanaians, they should have a second look at it. We have no problem. We don't have that authority. If you slash it on us, we also slash it on our passengers as well. So the transport ministry will plead with us. We should put our grievances on paper, we should document our grievances and the reasons why we want to increase the lorry fare by 20%. And things have even changed beyond our expectation. So probably conclude it this week, and hopefully by next week we will come back on the news again. So you'll hear from us.
In the education sector, the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU, has started a nationwide industrial action. This means there will be locked lecture halls, no issuance of certificates, and general breakdown in the sanitation and maintenance on campuses nationwide. The union cites government's failure to pay Tier 2 pension allowance to fund managers, extra duty allowance and car maintenance allowance for junior staff, among others, for the industrial action. Oheming Tewia has more in the following report.
The Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana boasts of over 10,000 members in all the public universities nationwide. Members include cleaners, drivers, security personnel and administrative secretaries, among others on the various campuses. The union accused government of failing to honor its obligations to pay extra duty allowance, car maintenance allowance due members, and pension funds to fund managers. A one-week ultimatum to government to act on the concerns of the union expired last week. National President Suleimana Abdulrahman, who addressed charged members at KNUST, says the workers are fed up with what he described as the lackadaisical attitude of government towards their concerns.
They will therefore demand that payment of the Tier 2 pension funds by government to the fund managers immediately. 2. They will further demand payment of vehicle maintenance allowance to deserving staff, to TEU members in the public universities without discrimination. 3. TEU also demands the payment of extra duty allowance through overtime to the affected members in some of the public universities. National Executive Council NEC of TEU held an emergency meeting this morning today, 31st January 2024, concerning the issues tabled above. In the said meeting, NEC has resolved that following the lackadaisical nature of the employer, which is the government, resolved that the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana is hereby declare an indefinite strike action. And the strike takes effect from 1st February.
The union says there will be repercussions for members who defy orders of the national executives to join the industrial action. Meanwhile, the union says members who provide essential services, such as members of the University Security Corps and principal secretaries, including those at the Vice Chancellor's offices, are initially exempted from the strike. Mr. Suleimana, however, explained.
We are not actually withdrawing everybody, because if we are withdrawing everybody, the security staff, everybody will have to go along with. But if government is failing to listen to us, at the end of the day, we have no option than to withdraw the whole security in the public universities. And I can tell you, if that happens, what will happen? The public universities will have to be locked down, but we don't want to get there. But of course, as I said, if we are pushed to a wall where we need to withdraw every services, that will be done. It's the security and the secretaries to the principal officers. We expect that they will assist the principal officers, I'm talking of the vice chancellors, the registrars, finance directors, to work with governments to make sure that they spearhead our issues to get it resolved.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oheming Tewia reporting.
Let's hope that they are not pushed to the wall to withdraw all services. Meanwhile, the Medical Laboratory Professional Workers Union, an essential healthcare service provider, is also threatening to lay down their tools over government's neglect to their demands for clearly defined conditions of service. The union says it is convinced that the posture of government shows that their services are unappreciated and undervalued. Dr. Franklin Ama is a national first vice chairman of the union.
Point must be made that strike is one of the options. When we get there and we advise ourselves appropriately, and strike is the best, we'll take it. But I must make the point that it is not in our interest. Who are the people who bear the grudge of our strike and our actions? Is it not our relatives? So we are not really interested in going on any strike. What we are saying is that let us all push for duty bearers to act. When duty bearers act and they come to table and we have negotiations, strike will be needless. It is our considered view that 14 days is a reasonable time within which duty bearers should act.
Now, Parliament's Public Accounts Committee has ordered the arrest of former head teacher of the Ahamanso LA Primary School in the OT region, Wisdom Patrick Krampa, for fraudulently paying himself over 72,000 cedis unearned salary. Mr. Krampa was cited in the Auditor General's report for validating himself for payment between 2018 and 2020 when he was not at post. James Aveji has a wrap of day 3 of the committee's sitting.
Appearing before the Public Accounts Committee on day 3 of its sitting was the Ministry of Education led by the Deputy Minister, Gifty Chumampofo, in the case involving former head teacher of the Ahamanso LA Primary School in the OT region. The District Director of Education, Seth Seram Day, in his explanation to the committee revealed that Wisdom Patrick Krampa was a validator himself due to his status as a head teacher, connived with a circuit supervisor at the District Education Office between February 2018 to June 2020 to pay himself a total of 72,000 Ghana cedis. He said until recently, Mr. Krampa had been complying with their investigation, but in the last few days, he has refused to pick their calls.
The invitation came, we invited him again to the regional office. He agreed to come and see us to make some enrollment so that he can start paying. Since 3 days ago, his 2 lines have been off. If you call, he will not respond. So that is where we are now. Thank you.
So now his initial position that says that he did not receive any unearned salary has changed.
Yes.
He has now accepted that he received the salary.
Yes.
Good.
He said Mr. Krampa has since resigned from the school to join the Youth Employment Agency as project supervisor.
But he's no more at GES. He works with the Youth Employment Agency now.
At
Dambai.
At Dambai.
The regional
office.
Yes.
Unhappy with the whole drama, the committee ordered an immediate arrest and prosecution of the former head teacher, Wisdom Patrick Krampa.
I think this one, I will advise that as soon as we get back, let the police pick him.
Thank you very much.
Unless he ran away from Dambai.
He cannot run away. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
He wants to prove difficult. Let the police pick him. Let them lock him. He should be bailed. Then the process will trigger from there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Look, it took 72,000, almost 73,000 Ghana cedis. Why? That's government money.
Among several such infractions was a case involving the Echima Nwabeja Education Directorate. The committee has ordered officers to retrieve a total of 24,000 Ghana cedis unearned salaries paid to one former teacher, Abuaji Da Costa, or get searcher to pay the monies themselves.
Abuaji Da Costa is in UK. We've been able to establish contact with him and negotiated a payment plan effective February 2024.
Okay, Chairman, let me defer to you, except to say that the officer who validated him, if I were to make any suggestion, he should be held liable. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Is the security supervisor, is he aware of this unearned salary issue?
As a matter of fact, he reported it to the office.
He reported it to the office?
He reported it to the office.
No, but he was validating the person for 6 months. On what basis was he reporting, validating the person for 6 months, after 6 months, before reporting to the office? Found the money with 6 month installment. But if you fail to do, we'll have automatic surcharge to trigger for the circuit supervisor to refund the money.
In another interesting turn of event, when officers from the Ketu North Municipal Directorate appeared before the committee, Chairman James Weija-Gbawe volunteered to pay 1,000 cedis on behalf of a former pupil teacher who, according to the officers, was out of job and could not pay the 989 cedis and earned salary leveled against him.
He asked permission from the head to attend funeral. When he left, he was not coming, so the head waited for him for that month. He couldn't hear from him, so the second month, the head reported to the office and blocked his salary. But the month that he left, because the head wrote the date he asked permission, the auditors took it that because he left for funeral, that salary should not be paid to him. But they have validated him before he left. The validation was done middle way of the month before he left. Thank you.
Anyway, fortunately, the amount is less than 1,000 Ghana cedis, so I'll pay that money as the MP for the area.
Thank you for that.
Uber fans.
All right, so you are discharged. So you see me for 1,000 Ghana cedis for you to go and pay for that.
He said he worked for several months and he was not paid. No, I'm not.
I am paying for it, so that settles the matter.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister for Education Gifty Chum Ampofo assures measures have been put in place to resolve these issues.
If it's a month or two, that one it could be pardonable. But for 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years, it's a very worrying issue. So, fortunately, Director General himself was here this morning, as well as the Director Internal Audit. We had a lot of discussions there, which very soon you could hear official statement from the ministry or from GES to ensure that we take tougher actions against the validators. It's just becoming too much.
The committee resumes on Friday to continue hearing James Weija-Gbawe, Parliament House, Accra.
We don't have it. There is no evidence.
Lots of interesting revelations in the Public Accounts Committee hearing there. So we'll bring you more updates on Friday when they resume. Now, commanding officer of the 10 Mechanized Battalion based in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region, Lieutenant Colonel Godfred Sarpong, has called on the public to share information about criminals and their activities to the security agencies in order to nip their practice in the bud. Rafiq Salam has more.
The 10 Mechanized Battalion, in collaboration with the Wa Municipal Assembly and Waste Company, Zoom Lion Limited, organized a massive cleanup exercise across various locations in the Wa municipality. The cleanup initiative targeted key areas such as the Tendampa Primary School, the Wa Central Business District, and the Wa Slaughterhouse. This collaborative effort aimed at dispelling misconceptions about the military and fostering a sense of unity within the community. Saw over 200 military personnel, assembly members, workers of Waste Company, Zoom Lion, and residents of the various suburbs took part in the cleanup exercise. They ensured that refuse that are scattered in uncontrolled areas were gathered and bent into ashes. Gutters that were soaked with solid waste and enveloped with dirty stagnant water that serves as breeding grounds for mosquitoes were also desalted. Commandant Officer of the 10 Mechanized Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Godfred Sarpong, further to light on the cleanup exercise.
As part of our civic responsibility, and also to promote the civilian and military cooperation here in Wa, and also to contribute our quota to the cleanliness of the metropolis, we decided to organize this particular exercise. We could have stayed in our barracks to clean our own barracks without coming here, but we just want them to know that it's their personal responsibility to ensure that the environment is always clean, because they are staying in it. You understand? In order to avoid epidemics and outbreak of diseases and other things, there is the need for them to at least occasionally organize this communal labor to clean the environment. So the message to them is that if we have come out from the barracks to do this cleaning in conjunction with them, as and when we are ready, and as I say, based on our operational exigencies, if there's time, we will still be organizing this thing periodically.
He said apart from the cleanup exercise, they have constantly organized programs aimed at strengthening the relationship between the civilians and the military, urging the former to discard any misconception they may have about the military.
We conduct route marches and other things within the towns and markets. At times we organize programs in conjunction with the assembly to interact together to ensure that the military-civil cooperation will be improved. So the perception they have out there, they should just erase them, because as I said, the military, we are your friends, we are the same people as you. Without the uniform, we work together, nobody will be able to know whether I'm a military man or I'm a civilian. It's the uniform that differentiates us. So they should just relax. We are in election year. They should know that we are here to ensure that they live peacefully. We will do our best to create a very safe and secure environment for them to be happy and go about their normal business. So they shouldn't worry at all. Anytime they see us, they should get close to us, because we are the same people.
One Municipal Chief Executive, Isaac Otare Mumin, commended the 10 Mechanized Battalion for the initiative, urging residents to see each day as a cleanup day.
Every day must be a cleanup exercise day. We don't want people to have the feeling that there should be a specific day for us to come out and clean. We should inculcate in ourselves. We should have the understanding that at any point in time, every minute, every hour, the environment that we find ourselves, we should make it clean. So that is why we stop the cleanup, the monthly cleanup exercise, but however, working on the mind and attitude of our people to make sure that every day we clean our environment.
The one municipality of the Upper West region hopes to forge a legacy of ongoing responsibility for the environment and strengthen the relationship between civilians and uniformed personnel through programs such as this. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam.
And also our election headquarters, flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, has asked the electorate to accept gifts targeted at inducing them in the upcoming elections. Nonetheless, the former president wants the electorate to vote against such politicians. He expects the electorate to be guided by the economic hardship in the country to vote out the present government. Nanaya Ojima is with the NDC's Building Ghana tour currently in the Eastern region and has filed this report.
Vote buying is gradually becoming a part of the country's electioneering. Though all political parties condemn the phenomenon, the practice is on the rise. Flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, is envisaging ruling NPP will induce the electorate with money for their votes in this year's general elections. He wants the electorate to accept the gifts when approached.
Omo jisikano eno omo yeden eno omo to omo abase na omo pese omo to no.
You heard what the people of Asin did. They took their money and voted against them. They will attempt to buy your votes. Take the money. It is yours.
Siebo huna ose bosom ana bibi so I say wojisikana obeye say me pe akire o se bosom bia enche wa wusika na obi de wa wusika san be ma wa bosom bia eni asase so a ebeye obi bia.
Let me tell you, no deity will haunt you for taking your own money. They will bring money and other things. I plead with you to take the money and vote wisely. Be mindful of your present condition when making a choice.
The
electorate are being encouraged to be mindful of the present economic condition in making a choice. He says the NPP, who tagged his government as incompetent, has done less to improve the well-being of the people. Meanwhile, Mr. Mahama has insisted the NDC administration will redeem promises made electorate.
We promise
and deliver. We don't just make promises. In 2016, we were tagged incompetent. In a response, I told them the job is not as easy as they make it look. Today, we have witnessed their performance. For Joy News, Nana Yaljima reporting.
And it's a wrap for this morning's AM News on the AM Show with me, Sweetie Abochi. Please stay for the news review with Benjamin Akakbo. He'll be joined by Executive Director of Rise Ghana, Awal Ahmed Kariama, and they'll review the news this morning. Stay tuned.
Welcome back on the AM show. What a beautiful morning. It's a Thursday, my day, so I always get excited on Thursdays. If today is your day, I'm going to be biased towards you. Yeah, yow, yawa, yeah. We celebrate you this morning, this fourth day of the week. They say Jesus was born on a Thursday. Are you aware of that? And you're claiming. What has here? Welcome back on the AM show, Sweetie Abochi, walking you through the start of the show and the news, brightening your morning. And here I am, taking off from here. Before I introduce my guest for the news review, you know that this segment is always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And here's what they're offering you. Maintenance and mayare indiwinya. Don't sit down for disease to make a mess of your life. So if you've never checked your prostate, you're a man over 40 years, especially if you are of African descent, you've never checked your prostate. Scientifically, it is proven that people of African descent are more susceptible to prostate-related issues. Don't worry, Caucasians and others are also susceptible to other things. But for us, we are more susceptible to prostate issues. That is why you ought to be checking your prostate often. Maintenance, like you would for your car, right? Checkups. If you're a woman and you've never wondered what is going on with your fertility, especially if you're sexually active and things are going on, but you're not taking care of yourself, one day, boom, and then you realize, chai, I wish I had been checking myself out. So if you're a man and you want to check out your prostate, if you're a woman, you want to check out your fertility status for free, head to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, thankfully, they have branches dotted all over the country. Here in Accra, they can be located at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronum, Abwehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama and Zama. Their call lines, two of them, 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, and I am glad to bring you my brother from another mother. Well, he's a great man, and oftentimes when I'm doing shows of a certain context, he would send me a message here and there. He is the Executive Director, Rise Ghana, Awal Ahmed Kariama. He is my guest this morning. Good morning, Senior.
Good morning, my brother. Good to see you.
Sanadua.
Sanukade. Thank you so much.
So here we are, January, well, the month of January coming to an end, and February taking off from there. Someone saw me this morning and said, oh, I've started the month of love right in my outfit. And I said, that wasn't even on my mind, but who the cap fits, we're going to wear it. How have you been?
Well, I've been very well, thank you. We thank God for all His mercies and His blessings. Everything is fine.
We say, now go to Allah.
Yeah, we'll go to Allah. And I agree with the person who said that
Oh, you do, huh?
When it comes to your fashion sense, you are always stellar. So some of us think that you should start a fashion brand. For all you know, you can start a fashion revolution in Ghana.
This table you are shaking, a fashion brand and a fashion revolution. We'll see, we'll see. I'm a man of many things, so who knows? Maybe I just might venture into something like that. But before we get into the papers, I always do this with my guests. I have them talk about something topical, something that they feel passionate about. I know you're passionate about Boku.
That's correct.
And in recent times, there's been another spark in that area, but not just there in Kwanta, among other places. Now we've heard, for example, the military leaders in these 3 states. You know, there's Guinea, but Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, these 3 have decided to take themselves out of the ECOWAS bloc, and what the consequences would be. It probably means that from Niger, the cattle, the onions, the tomatoes that will be coming will now attract more tax, which will be passed on. And speaking of passing on, you know, the eco-levy is now going to kick in. Fuel emissions, you're going to be paying at least about 75 Ghana cedis to about 100 Ghana cedis per year. So multiply by the number of vehicles. Unless maybe you're using gas, I think. You know, some vehicles employ gas. And the question is, what will this mean? The GPRTU, other unions say they will pass it on directly to the consumers. Yes. Do you have any reflections on any of these or something you want to talk about before we set sail?
Yes, so I think that the current trends are not very positive in terms of the people at the low end of the economic belt who are earning so low in terms of the pressure. When you look at increasingly over the years, the disposable income of some individuals in Ghana who already are living below the poverty line is further stretched further. So some of these things...
The disposable income is not disposable.
Exactly, at all. Somebody said the take-home pay doesn't take you home.
It doesn't take
Yes, because it's so small. And then, interestingly, the funny thing is that we have to have a culture and an attitude where businesses can begin to understand that this is a time where our revenues have gone down and so our profits have gone down. But we have a penchant for transferring whatever cost that comes to the consumer. So to the extent that if a business person in Ghana is making a profit of, say, 100 million Ghana cedis, they don't want to come to reality that there could be a time that your profit will be slashed down by 50% to, say, 50 million Ghana cedis or 100 cedis. People should begin to understand, businesses need to understand that. So it's not every cost of operations or cost of doing business that you definitely have to transfer to the customer. Unfortunately, we have a system where the moment there are issues that are brought up, taxes, the person who ends up paying is the consumer. Businesses generally find a way of going about the taxes and transferring the operational cost of their business. I mean, businesses should be able to accommodate some of them because beyond just being in business, there is this value of people over profits, the planet over profits. But you find businesses cutting corners to be destroying the environment, to be breaking down their own clientele. I mean, some businesses will tell you that they want a sustainable customer where the person can continue to buy over a period of time. But we have a system in place here where people don't really care when you buy today and you do not buy tomorrow. Yeah. And the military junta in Mali, Burkina Faso is quite worrying, and Niger is quite worrying because with the introduction of this, they pulling out of ECOWAS, that will mean that there are certain checks and balances that traditionally that has been provided by ECOWAS will no longer be there.
You can't regulate them on some counts.
You cannot.
I mean, technically, it's a 1-year period.
Exactly.
Within which they can extricate themselves. It's not like you say you're backing out and that's it.
Yes.
But people will ask, for example, and I've spoken to the Professor Innings, the Colonel Festus Abwajes, among others on this. They may not even be paying their ECOWAS dues, which would mean less money for ECOWAS to do anything. It means you're going to lack regulating them in certain circles and even thinking of security and what that means in the broader sub-region and maybe even insurgency, terrorism and all of that. It doesn't paint a good picture.
And that's why I think that it's a dangerous precedent they are setting. We shouldn't use the participation or membership of ECOWAS and pulling out of ECOWAS as a bargaining chip. We would start a trend which will not be very good for our own individual countries, because when you look at the ECOWAS bloc and the fact that some of the countries are landlocked and their dependence on these communities that are not landlocked and like Ghana and other littorals that exist is very critical. Exactly, for access to the sea and others. we basically depend on each other. If you go to Upper East and you are traveling...
But per international law, you can't there are regulations concerning access to the sea. You can't blockade people from having access, coming through your country to have access to the sea.
Nobody is saying that they should be blocked from having access to our seashores. But the thing is that when there is no national structure in terms of regulation, pirates can take advantage of the fact that it's not regulated. You don't even know which vessel is a government-approved vessel or not. And so there is a lacuna, there is an opportunity for these pirates to take advantage of that and then invade our sea territories. And in fact, it's one of the areas where violent extremists have been trying so much to have capture. You know, they fund their activities by illicit financial trades and smuggling and others. So they want to be able to have a thorough way. And once you pull out of ECOWAS and then the interlinkages between the countries are not there, that will mean that the authorities from Ghana will have limited coordination with your authorities. And then this is a military junta, let's not forget. We have opportunity of people who are their cronies, people who are military inclined, people who are security experts that they trust, who may not necessarily accede to the national interest or the bigger ECOWAS interest to come in. And once they come in, it provides opportunity, it breeds opportunity for other corrupt elements to enter the system and infiltrate it and create a lot of security threat for us. And I was making a point earlier that when you're going to Upper East and you're going by road, particularly if you're coming from Southern Ghana or Tamale area and you're coming, you see that a certain part of the road has significantly damaged. Damage in the extent that it has, the weight on it has been too much. And this as a result of produce that are being taken from Ghana to the ECOWAS, other ECOWAS countries like Burkina Faso, Niger, and then Mali. So they always pass through the Upper East region. And if you look at the volume of trade and the trucks that pass there, and so when you say you are pulling out of ECOWAS, are you saying that some of the levies that are going to be applied will not be applied to you? And what are the consequences in terms of maintaining our road infrastructure? Because if you look at the two sides of the road, where they do not pass with heavy cargo, the road is a bit thicker. Where they pass with heavy cargo, the road has gone down significantly in terms of a lot of potholes, in terms of the level of the road has actually gone down because of the weight, as a result of the heavy merchandise that they carry. So pulling out of ECOWAS annexely is not a good thing. And so I would implore ECOWAS leaders to be able to take up the action to ensure that they talk to these people to come back and then nip that in the bud so that we don't see people continuously using the exit of ECOWAS as a bargaining chip to be able to achieve their political, ideological agenda. The other thing is that when you talk about Boko at the moment is calm, and we always say that Boko is unpredictable. 1 minute is calm, 1 minute is another story. And we've had a lot of stories about issues of military engagement with the people. And so far, I think the biggest bane in Boko has to do with the prevalence of illicit weapons among the hands of citizens. There are so many weapons in the hands of citizens. There's a lot of misinformation and propaganda going on. You hear a certain incident and different people have different stories about it. And if you are not careful, you would end up blaming state authorities or citizens for something that state authorities have committed. Right. So it's a very delicate issue, and we are hoping that things stay as they are, because at the moment the place is calm, and we are hoping that no life should be lost. And if you study the trend, whenever the place is calm, it takes just a trigger of a small incident or one incident, and the place goes ballast again. And so we are hoping that everybody in Boko would give peace a chance and then see each other as brother. And sometimes what baffles me is the fact that they swear the same God sometimes. Yeah, there's a particular God that they both swear. And if you swear by the same God, and then why do you go against each other again? So it's so unfortunate, and we're hoping that common sense will reign in Boko, and then God will touch the hearts of the people, and so that there will be lasting peace in the area.
All right. Let's get into the papers now. I have the Daily Graphic newspaper and the New Finder. What do you have?
I have the Daily Guide, the New Crusading Guide, the Vanguard.
The Vanguard newspaper. All right. So let's, you know what, I'm going to see to you. You start with the Daily Guide newspaper, and then we shall take it from there. Okay. I know you've done this You've watched us a number of times.
Yes,
so
thank you very
give us
much.
the headlines.
Thank you very much for putting me on the spot. Yes, in terms of the headlines, the Daily Guide talks about most young women having raw sex. And you know, in Ghanaian parlance, when we say raw sex, we mean sex without protection, any form of protection. And then
people are brave.
People are brave.
Well, people are brave.
People are no. I mean, people are not brave.
People get vain.
People are. Excuse the word. I don't want to say stupid. But people are not sensible. I mean, people are not sensible. You know what? When it comes to unprotected sex, we talk about a lot about fertility in Ghana, and in fact, using contraceptives can promote fertility. This is something that people don't see.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. You know,
using contraceptives
can promote fertility. And
wow.
we need to
I didn't know that.
Yes, we need to let that sink. And you know why? You know,
is this scientific?
Yes, it's scientific.
Empirical evidence?
Yes. You know, some of the sexually transmitted diseases would eventually lead to certain diseases that will prevent you and affect your fertility. So the moment you use contraceptives, you are preventing sexually infected diseases.
Oh, I see. That's the angle you're
exactly.
From.
And when you
because
prevent
if
sexually,
you contract the gonorrheas and the syphilis,
exactly,
and all of those, if you go and get HPV and the rest,
exactly,
of course,
exactly.
the consequences they all impact your fertility.
Exactly.
Right. So that's the angle.
Exactly. So using contraceptive can help actually promote your fertility. So people need to understand that. And you see, it's funny that people, especially young people, you know why they do this? They fear pregnancy more than HIV or any other STI. That's the funny thing. Some young people, they fear getting pregnant than getting any STI. And so there's this emergency contraceptives. You find people having unprotected sex, and immediately after that, they will supervise the lady to take it. So that you don't come and say that you are pregnant for me. So they are more concerned about the partner not getting pregnant than the partner contracting. And people have, unfortunately...
Or they themselves contracting.
Exactly. People have unfortunately replaced contraceptives like condoms and other preventive measures with the emergency pill. And that is unfortunate. So that's one situation which is accounting for this. Anyway. Because they feel that they can take that and then... So we have also new EC reforms will bring chaos.
Are you ready for voting in November?
I didn't hear that. I didn't know. Where is that coming from?
The EC.
Oh, interesting.
So a few people, supposedly on the back of when the SDA, Seventh-day Adventists, proposed that no, this date, I beg your pardon, this date falls on a Sabbath and all of that. And so for us, we feel it should be changed and all that. I've already declared my stance. I am Christian. If it falls on a Sunday, I don't think God will be upset that you've not gone to church this Sunday to go and exercise a civic responsibility. There's somewhere in the Bible, where it is made clear. Jesus says, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath.
Yeah, and he asks further, if your lamb falls into the well on the Sabbath, will you leave it in the well?
Will you leave it there? Okay? Apt. So I feel this is a non-starter. I'm being very brutally honest. I don't hide these things. You know me. So is it to say that, if it falls on a Friday this year, Muslims will say, it's a major day for prayer, so we're not going to vote. If it falls on a Saturday, SDA will say this. If it falls on a Sunday, the rest of the Christian community, maybe the traditionalists will also pick a day and say, so it can't, then every day will be gone.
Definitely, every day is somebody's day.
Every day is somebody's day.
Yes.
But these have also come, purported reforms. The EC says it has engaged in IPAC, some of them, and over 50% are in agreement. But most of them are saying, let's start from 2028, not the 2024 election. But for those who are in agreement, I think for 2024 or something, it's over 50%. I don't know. I don't think it's necessary. And many people have supported that. But I don't know what you think about that.
Yes, so I think that we have to, first of all, in all these things, we need to follow due process. What due process has the SDA, Seventh-day Adventists, followed? And how open has the discussion been? This 50%, I mean, when you look at IPAC, they basically represent us as Ghanaians. That means there's a tie. There's a balance. If 50% are in support of it, and even saying that it should be at the next election and not this impending election, then we need to open up the dialogue and ensure that other people are involved in it. We cannot basically just say that, okay, the SDA leave this because they have been a due process where they have followed. If they have followed due process and they have made their points known, then they have a right to be heard. But
as for right to be heard, I mean, definitely every group.
Yeah, so
I am just saying that, I mean, some of these, if we overextend them,
and then I'm coming to that. And then when you open the Pandora's box in terms of those things, I mean, we're in interesting times where people have a lot of ideologies, a lot of needs, a lot of people will even tell you that the voting sentence that traditionally we have been using I mean, it infringes on their rights of XYZ. What are you going to do? So we may not be able to accommodate the views of everybody and everyone in terms of this electoral reform. But we must do it in a holistic way where we are ensuring that the right to participate in these elections are not infringed upon in any way. So I think that we need to tread cautiously on it so that we are able to, whatever reform that is coming, we should have at least majority of the IPAC, not 50% of the IPAC agreeing on a thing. Going forward, we should be able to carry everybody around. It's difficult, but at least if we exceed, I mean, in our current elections dispensation, we talk about 50 plus 1%, plus one vote. So if we are talking about 50%, then we should go beyond that and see how we can get more people to participate.
Are there other stories, other headlines? No, still from the Daily Guide.
Yes.
So there's
British Major Mahama's trial catalyst for change.
Okay, we've done that story quite a few times.
British government applauds Ghana.
Can we find out, go back to the story about the most young people, most young women having, I want further details on that. It's a discussion, since yesterday I've been having discussions with different people on that beat. I just want to find out what else is there.
Yes, so basically the information is coming from the Ghana Statistical Service, and they are saying that 80% of young women unprotected sexual intercourse. And then according to the report, this is despite knowledge that condoms can help reduce the risk of contracting STDs. It disclosed that 15 to 24%, the women aged 15 to 24%, and 79 are well aware. So they are aware of the fact that it's there. And it talks about the fact that men also are seen as cheaters. That same demographic survey talks about the fact that 2 of every 10 married men in the country have had extramarital frolicking. It is noted that 17 of the men had 2 or more partners, and so it further indicated that about divorce cases, and so basically it talks about the fact that people are aware, like you said, people are just not caring. They are just bold and doing daring things. That's what the story basically is talking about.
Why do you think, though? Some even say that this 2 out of 10 or 20%, no, that's actually, 20% is a conservative figure, and that there's a lot more going on. But why do you think? I interact with people, you know, boys,
yes.
You can sense certain things, even when they don't tell you, or if they don't tell you, sometimes you sense certain things. Why do you think there's so much, unfaithfulness in the system, among the married, among the unmarried? Why do you think?
I don't know, it's difficult to say. I think context matters. But one of the reasons is possibly the fact that we criminalize, I mean, this is my religious views, but we seem to criminalize polygamy. And I must put it in context that polygamy is not necessarily an Islamic practice per se. Within the traditional customs, there are certain belief systems and way of living that tend to promote polygamy. And once it promotes polygamy and it makes polygamy acceptable and unacceptable at the same time, it makes it difficult. Here we are, people think that, you know, there's a proverb in parts of the Upper East and Northern Ghana. They say that if you have one wife, then you are like a bird. If you have one wife, like you are like a bird. And when they say that, I mean, not to offend, but to quote Aruna Idrisu, he once said that somebody in Tamale, they say that if you have one wife, then you are a bachelor. It's a very popular statement, I mean, in Tamale.
But you know, of course,
you know,
there's another context to this, because while you say that it is not necessarily Islamic,
yes,
because when you go back in time, whether it's among the Jews or the early days, the ancestors of the Israelites.
All the Abrahamic religions.
That's it, the Abrahamic religions. And even in Africa, yes. But at the same time, Christianity subscribes to, and Jesus says that in the Bible, one man. In the beginning, it was one man, one wife. But it's the stubbornness of the people, that's what Jesus would say, that made Moses give them that when it comes to divorce and all of that.
And the people haven't changed. The stubbornness is still there.
The stubbornness, But do you think it's so? Is it about men wanting more? The interesting bit, people will quickly cite that, but there are always more women than men. That demographic is there, but it also doesn't necessarily mean I don't know, because some will be married, others will not.
You know what some of the churches are grappling with now? The concept of serial monogamists.
Serial monogamists.
Yes, that's one of the things the church is struggling with now on the quiet. Somebody he knows that if he goes to the church and they bless this marriage, legally he cannot marry again. He goes to another church and presents himself as a bachelor, marries again. So there's a popular saying that one lady who is very close to me, I mean not in any form, but who says that unless a man dies, you don't know the number of children or wives that he has. And we have seen it increasingly higher up, down in Ghana here among a lot of people. I mean, some of our popular statesmen, business people die, and then you see people coming up to claim that they are their children or their wives.
Yeah.
So we criminalize polygamy a lot to the extent that people want to do it, but they cannot do it. So that accounts for the cheating, the people engaging in extramarital affairs.
Is it justified? Because when you go into, even I know Muslims who have decided, no, I'll not do 4, I'll just do 1. There are those. Is it justified, especially in the Christian context? And I know you are well abreast of some of these developments. It's like becoming a Catholic priest. You know what it means?
Yes, celibacy.
Celibacy, chastity, poverty in some instances, whether you're a diocesan priest or whatever. So you know what you're going into. So if you go into it, why don't you stick to it?
Exactly.
The problem is not even just those who are not married who are doing it, because then there's fornication. Adultery is also on the other side. And in some instances, the first thing you spoke of, bigamy, is also a crime. It's in fact a crime. You could be jailed for that in some jurisdictions.
Exactly. So you could spend a lot of alimony too.
Yeah. You end up paying a lot of alimony, depending on what exactly is happening. But, interesting statistics there. Would you like to get into another paper before I come in?
Yes.
I'll just wrap with.
So we have the New Crusading Guide. It talks about the time for cooperation and commitment. Let's rally behind Baumia, Miracle Draka.
Right.
And then we have government initiate measures to reform judiciary, Attorney General. And the NDC supporters rally behind Leslie Mensah Tamaklo. Asebu farmers fight encroachers. I think I like that story.
Okay.
Asebu farmers fight encroachers. Plead for government intervention as developers ignore court order. So Asebu, apparently there's a picture of a farmer there in his maize farm, and then the farmers are fighting encroachers, despite the fact that there has been a court order, and they are pleading that government should intervene to enforce that court order so that their farms are saved. I think in a democratic country like ours, this should not be happening. If there's a court order, then we should ensure that it is enforced so that people do not lose trust in our legal system and the judicial system as a whole. And then government initiates measures to reform judiciary. So that one talks about the fact that the Attorney General has attributed delays during Major Maxwell Mahama trial to faulty jury system, which is said government is taking measures to perform. So basically, he's talking about the fact that the judicial system, there are different actors within the judicial system who play their role. I mean, I have seen some cases where prosecutors have allegedly presented bad cases deliberately.
Yeah.
Just to fraud the process and delay the process.
You hear cases of that deliberately.
Exactly.
So, of course, and sometimes even to extend it, because the OSP has also been in the picture in the latest corruption perceptions index. You would have instances where sometimes government officials enter certain deals, sign certain contracts, and allow them knowing very well that there will be a judgment debt that the state will be called upon to pay.
Exactly.
And that they will get whatever they want from the back door, intentionally.
Kickback.
So
it's unfortunate that this is, so that is some of the reforms. But we keep talking about these reforms, unfortunately, and we don't seem to get the end to it. Every day we talk about these reforms. I mean, we need to stop the talk and walk the talk so that we're able to ensure that these reforms that we talk about are there. Nobody should be able, I mean, some people go to court and they are remanded for 3 years. At the end of the day, when the court is called and finalized, they are jailed for only 2 years. So there's a backlog of 1 year the person would have wasted. I mean, people should begin to sue for some of this, for compensation and others, so that the state can sit up on it. Because it's unacceptable that people should be kept in remand, sometimes for petty thievery. That is why the community services bill that is being championed by organizations that like individuals like the MP for Ashama.
Yeah.
Yes, and then also the Legal Resources Initiative. It's a very good thing.
Is it the Medina MP?
The Medina
Francis
MP, Francis Xavier Soso, thank you. And then the Legal Resources Center has been championing the community services bill so that when somebody commits a minor offense, the person should be able to provide some community service instead of going to spend our taxpayers' money and to be in jail and waste it.
And even our jails are, congested, super congested.
Actually, it's a planning ground for criminals to better plan their next criminal activity. A lot of them get exposed to more sophisticated ways of doing. So
I'll tell you what, I got scammed of 50 CDs sometime last year. I mean, it was a little, I realized there was something fishy, but I know of someone who ordered from a popular place. It was his birthday, over 1,000 CDs, pizza and stuff, went there to pick up. Apparently, he had paid the money to a scammer. And we hear some of these scammers. Do you know where they are coming from?
No.
Within a the confines of
the prisons. So unfortunate.
And
they have access to mobile phones and stuff.
Yeah, how they do it and whom they are collaborating.
The last paper has to do with the Vanguard.
Okay.
It talks about
very quickly on that.
Yes.
Maybe just the headlines.
Yes, free SHS to be evaluated. Government calls for calm over VAT on ECG. Samira embarks on clean cooking tour. Lands Commission overtakes all state institutions as a citadel of corruption in the country. Yes, so that does.
Go back to the front page. You say what? Free SHS to be
evaluated.
Yes, but then there was a government calls for calm over
the VAT on ECG. Yes.
Are you calm about it? Because I am not calm.
I'm not calm at all.
Already without the VAT,
I'm not calm at all.
I purchased electricity and it's gone.
I'm not calm at all.
In the twinkling of an eye.
They should not say we should. It's not about calm. It's about just revoking it, just removing it and ending it.
Stay calm and enjoy VAT. That's it. Stay calm and enjoy the VAT. That's what government is telling us. We should stay calm. Anyway, Daily Graphic. Condom use among polyamorous persons low. That's according to the health survey. We've spoken a lot about that. Stanbic boss urges graduates to embrace discovery. Centenary celebration. Kolebu upgrades 30 wards. UK backs Ghana on adhering to IMF conditions. Be flexible. Make election outcome acceptable to all. Professor Ai urges the EC. And PAC proposes third layer to validate salaries of GES staff. Have you heard of the GRA boss's issue? He's 62. He's been serving for, I'm just going to be blunt on this. People have said, wait, you are making this point when in fact, when it came to Daniel Yao-Domelevo, the former Auditor General, he was hounded out on the back of, I'm not saying if we've decided to retain him, but does he have a contract? It appears he doesn't. And then you have all of this happening. He stayed at post. I've seen some lucrative perks that he gets to benefit from and all of that, which I'm not going to bring to bear here. But what is your reaction to that?
It's unbelievable that some of these things are happening. It's so unfortunate. And it beats the mind to think that some of these things can happen. First of all, we have to put it in context that it's not illegal per se to be working for your state when you exceed the retirement age. But there must be a basis for it. Yeah. There must be a contract. And sometimes it's very clear that certain services that may not be provided. We have a lot of expertise for certain services that people are providing. And in any case, if somebody is going to provide a service once the person is on retirement, there should be a legal basis in terms of, i.e. contract, for the person to be engaged. But when there is no contract and some of the things are happening, I mean, it creates a lot of apathy in the system. It brings a lot of confidence. But there are other retirees who are really doing well, who are contributing to national development on the low side and providing expertise. In fact, there's even a movement to see how they can mentor other young people so that we would address some of the challenges that young people are having. But there must be a proper vehicle and a standard operating procedures for everybody and everyone. And nobody should be engaged without a formal contract.
So everyone...
It's an insult to the Ghanaian public taxpayer.
No one's ox is God. But staying on that point, it took a different turn because the former electoral commissioner, Charlotte Osei, I saw that she was reacting in a way Davis Ansah Opoku, many years ago, sometime in 2015, posted, Charlotte is 42 and will retire at age 70. Talking about age matters and all of that. Of course, we know what has happened since then. But the same person has been questioning the Public Accounts Committee on why they are putting out or asking for the GRA bosses, Reverend Amishadai's age. And people refer them to the fact that, but hey, you put out someone's age in 2015. Now you're questioning why someone who's 62, who's past retirement, is staying at post without a contract. So I always say this, hypocrisy, it will come back to bite you. Yes. So if you're going to go down that road, you better mean what you say and say what you mean. Because now you're contesting. But people are going, it's not right to go after his age and all that. Yeah. I feel, honestly, that we make too much about age in this country. Young people can perform. Our constitution itself is an impediment. You must be 40 to be president. Look at what other countries are doing. Okay? But it also doesn't mean we should practice ageism, that you can't be old and still serve. Reverend Amishadai he's a sharp man, looks pretty young, is doing his work, but is it going by law? That's the question.
Exactly.
Is it going by law?
Exactly.
And as you apply it to entry, you must apply it to all the others. That's the whole point. Let me just do the story and then we can run. Be flexible, make election outcome acceptable to all. The Vice President of Arts of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, Professor Joseph Achuaye, has urged the Electoral Commission to be flexible in considering certain reforms key to the smooth conduct of the December 7th elections. He said, in order not to make the outcome of the elections contentious and create chaos in the country, the EC had to take into account the views of all stakeholders before changing or maintaining the December 7th voting day. So that's the story there. On the international front, Kenyan president says Haiti mission is to go ahead. Auction of Nelson Mandela possessions suspended. Millions urgently need food in Ethiopia's Tigray region. And the new finder, finally, FSRP to roll out 2 million broiler project driven by ECOWAS with World Bank funding. Any final thoughts for us before we leave?
Yeah, so I'm excited that auction of the Reverend Nelson Mandela's property have been put on hold. It's a good sign. And we are hoping that due process will be followed. And that ties to the fact that the British High Commission is returning some artifacts to Asante Mine, and that is going to be on loan. It's interesting.
As for that loan bit,
it's interesting.
I heard a discussion though, and they were saying that technically, centuries ago, even into, there are spoils of war.
Spoils of war, exactly.
And that the winning party, could legitimately at the time take over the property, loot, ransack. And it was legitimate, legal at the time. Yes. But no longer. I don't know. Sometimes I honestly feel these Caucasians in certain parts of the world, and I say it without fear, are very hypocritical. If something was legitimate at a certain time, but now you feel differently about it. Pick, for example, slavery. Would you say that, it was legitimate then?
So no reparations.
Or maybe we can, and that's why, for example, people say you're still benefiting from the toil of slavery, yet you've not made any reparations. It's a two-way street to that conversation, because I feel some African countries too are lazy and just waiting. We could have developed far better than we are now. But it also doesn't mean they can't make reparation for the wrongs they committed. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother,
for joining the conversation. It's been really enjoyable
Thank you,
having you in the studio.
Thank you.
2 quick birthdays. Adore Kluche Yesterday was your birthday. I missed the message you sent. A belated happy birthday to you. One fantastic person, and we celebrate you. There's also, just stay put for me. There's also happy birthday, Hannah. May this new year of life make you the best version of the life you wish for. That is Hannah, and that's from Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Did I hear that today is Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson's birthday? Well, a little bird just whispered into my ear, happy birthday, dearie. You're one wonderful person. Keep glowing, keep being you. And that's the note on which we're going to cap off the news review this morning. Mind you, brought to you always courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering you prostate screening for free if you're a man, fertility screening for free if you're a woman. Reach out to them at any of these branches. Accra, Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. The Stakwadi Energy Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and the Siaman Zama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Sports is coming to you in just a bit. Stay.
Good morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show. I am Haruna Mubarak. Now, the Baltimore complex appears ready for the upcoming Africa Games. The facility will host various sports disciplines, making it a crucial hub for the event. The local organizing committee scheduled February 8 for test run of the facility ahead of the Games. Well, a member of parliament for North Song, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, says he will push for a comprehensive parliamentary investigation into Ghana's spending at the Africa Cup of Nations. This follows the allegation the government and the Ghana FA approved an amount of $8.5 million as the budget for the Black Stars' participation in the tournament. According to the politician, officials found culpable will be brought to book.
Our laws are very, very clear. The Constitution is clear. The Public Financial Management Act is clear. You cannot go and spend public funds, engage in public expenditure without parliamentary approval. The law is very clear. You must submit these budgets to Parliament and get an approval before you go and spend. I mean, it doesn't happen anywhere. It's as if we become some banana republic, some lawless jungle where people do whatever they want. So we kept insisting that bring your budget. They refuse. Then your colleagues in the media, particularly the sports journalists, time without number, kept pushing them. Where is the budget? We want to know. They will not disclose. They say, oh, we are going to come. Now, they have been back for many days, and they still haven't disclosed. So that is what prompted me that, look, when a government, when public officials go to this extent to conceal information, to hide information from the people, it means that they are not proud of their action. They do not want the people to have the information because a lot has gone wrong.
But Honorable, tell me, how possible is this that the Parliament has not okayed the budget and yet it's been approved and disbursements made?
It's incredible. So we cannot say that it is approved. We cannot say it is approved. They have just done their own thing. It is incredible. This doesn't happen anywhere. It doesn't happen Look, monitor all the other countries. Zambia, they presented a budget to their parliament, $2.1 million. Go to Namibia, they presented a budget to their parliament, $1.1 million. Nigeria, they presented a budget to their parliament, $1.3 million before the tournament. South Africa, Ivory Coast. Check, this is open source information. So it is most shocking that countries who look up to us, who don't have our democratic credentials, look at how they are conducting themselves. And look at what we are doing. The level of financial recklessness. That is why I insist that there ought to be a full-scale parliamentary probe. And when the House resumes, we are going to file a motion for a full-scale parliamentary inquiry. And all those ministers and public officials, including those at the FA, who think that they should rather insult me instead of accounting to the Ghanaian people on the thought processes that went into coming up with this budget and why they will, at this time of unprecedented economic crisis, come up with this staggering amount of $8.5 million. They should know that all of them will be made to account and there will be sanctions. It is just a matter of time.
England and Liverpool hammered Chelsea 4-1 to maintain their grip on first place in the Premier League. Manchester City moved to second after their 3-1 victory over Burnley. And Spurs, they are now in fourth following their 3-2 triumph against Brentford. Highlights for you. Real Madrid can go top of the La Liga table if they beat Getafe in the game tonight. And that's how we end the sports here on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak.
A defibrillator is the life-saving equipment. When the heart is not beating normally, the defibrillator is used to deliver controlled electric shock to the heart. This shock can help restore the heart's normal rhythm in cases of sudden cardiac arrest. In countries like South Korea and the UK, defibrillators can be found in public places like pubs, markets, and crowded places. What about Ghana? The Ghana Harmonized Health Facility Assessment Report 2023 says only 5% of hospitals in Ghana have the required basic equipment in consulting rooms. We make our way to Ghana's oil city, Takoradi. The Fiankwanta Regional Hospital receives referrals from across the region. It is fair to say that it serves over 3 million population. Apart from cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, which involves chest compressions and rescue breaths, can the hospital save your life if you go into cardiac arrest?
I would say that we're doing the best that we can under the circumstances. At the A&E, where you are most likely to be taken to, we have just one defibrillator, but for a unit of that size, we should have more. So in your case, if you are the only one who needs the machine at that point in time, yes, we will be able to do it for you. But if there are many patients who need the same service, then it becomes a challenge.
Dr. Joseph Kojo-Tambil, the medical superintendent of the hospital, is passionate. He wants his medical staff to get the best equipment to serve patients. But he also wears another hat to manage the information he gives the media and also assure residents of the Western region and beyond that they can rely on his facility. With some hesitation, he admits that even the only available defibrillator has challenges and calls for resourcing of the hospital.
And the defibrillator doesn't work properly, like it function.
But a few challenges, but with batteries and all that. But when called upon, it would function. But like I said, we need more of those machines rather than just one.
So we went to the Accident Emergency Center to find out how the facility handles cases of cardiac arrest.
We have one automated external defibrillator. It's faulty because the battery is irreplaceable. So the battery went down and we can't replace it. So now it's malfunctioning. So when if our patient suddenly arrests, it's difficult for us to determine the rhythm so that we can apply the shock. We are not able to do that. This is a life-saving machine. You can have cardiac arrest at any point in time. When we are intervening, it's a must that we have an automated external defibrillator.
The only defibrillator, which is now 40, was even donated by foreign students who saw the need for the equipment in the emergency room. To make you understand the issue better, Weija-Gbawe, the unit head of the Accident and Emergency Center, shares a recent story.
We had this patient that was brought in with electrical shock. With that one, because of the external electrical current, it sends the rhythm to a different rhythm. So if we had this, we could have reversed, we could have shocked the patient to set the rhythm to the normal. But because we didn't have, we continued with our CPR, and when we were all exhausted, we had to call it.
For those who do not understand what the term "call it," it simply means they had pronounced the patient dead. How often do they call it?
So it does happen very often. Very often.
The search for a defibrillator at the Weija-Gbawe took me to the intensive care unit. Here, they provide critical care to patients. The unit also needs a defibrillator. Is there one here? Mavis Mills is a supervisor at the ICU.
We need, for now, we don't even have a defibrillator here. They brought one, but they said that there was a problem with their battery. So they sent it, and for now we don't have a defibrillator.
So just like the Accident and Emergency Center, what do nurses do to save the patients who needs defibrillation?
For now, we can't do anything. What we can do is to give the CPR and advance to the drugs and other stuff. But when it gets to the part where we would have to shock, we don't have it. So it's a concern.
Enough of the defibrillator tool. Now let's focus on another important tool, a ventilator. A ventilator is a medical device that helps people breathe when they are unable to do so on their own. It plays a critical role in supporting patients' respiratory functions.
We need transport ventilators. As I already indicated, here is the Regional Emergency Center. So they bring all sort of trauma cases, surgical cases. Sometimes you need to put them on ventilator. You need to take the work of breathing from them.
Now that we know the importance of a ventilator, let's find out whether the Weija-Gbawe Emergency Center has one.
We don't have ventilators to at the emergency. So we do with our normal oxygen and cylinder. Sometimes you need to intubate the patient and put them on ventilators so that the ventilator will do the work of breathing for them. But we don't also have ventilators. It's part of the basic equipment that we need at the emergency.
So we go back to the intensive care unit to find out whether there is a ventilator.
We had problems. We realized we had technical problems with the ventilators. We couldn't use them. So we take cases in here where we didn't need ventilators. We went to school to learn to care for critically ill patients, and then you have the space and everything to work, but then small issues like ventilators and other equipment are a limitation to practicing what you're going to learn. It's really a problem. This particular one was giving dry air instead of moist air.
Of what use is a ventilator in an ICU if it is not functional? The Accident Emergency Center lacks so many equipment like monitors, perfusers, and many more.
Like our patient monitors, this is a 33-bed capacity emergency, and we have only one patient monitor, which is not adequate for all the patients that we receive in. Sometimes we wish that we have more so that all our critical patients will be put on monitor so that we'll be able to monitor them well. But here is the case that we have only one, so we make do with the only one that we have.
Dr. Tambil believes if government retools them, they can provide the best care ever.
At the moment, I said that we would do with more defibrillator machines. We would do with cardiac monitors for patients who need critical monitoring. We will need a ventilator at least there, because at times when the doctors need to escalate the care to give the patient an opportunity to survive. The standards are that we should have at least one functional ventilator in the accident and emergency.
It is now obvious that finding a working ventilator and defibrillator at Efia-Nkwanta seem akin to searching for a needle in a haystack. But the story is not all that gloomy. Government is building a new hospital complex. However, should government focus on completing the building before retooling the hospital, or should the government provide tools now to save many lives?
Well, if you are anywhere in the Western region, and when something happens to you, like an accident, or you have a heart attack, or some other condition, you are most likely to be brought to Efia-Nkwanta. And if we are not in the best situation to be able to help you, the consequences can be dire. So we want to appeal to all of them to look at this place. Let's collaborate and see where they can put their money in to improve on the quality of services for Efia-Nkwanta. And if they do so, it is for the entire citizenry of the Western region and even beyond.
Clearly, the Efia-Nkwanta Regional Hospital needs healing. Georgia Kopna, Joy News.
Them get eyes, but them know they see.
And that's how we kickstart our big stories this morning, talking about our sick hospitals. Hospitals usually would cure the sick, but when our hospitals are sick themselves, then you ask yourself where we go from there. Well, joining us for a conversation on all of these developments, we have Bright Emi-Sanyako, his national chairman, Ghana Coalition of NGOs in Health. We also have joining the conversation Dr. Mark Kurt Nawani, Deputy Ranking Member, Parliamentary Health Committee, and Dr. Kwame Sarpong, a CDD Fellow. Gentlemen, good morning. If you can hear me, I would be glad if you could unmute and let me know you're on the other end. Dr. Isiedu, Mr. Emi-Sanyako. All right. So my first bit to you, I'd like to find out, what is your reaction? We heard from the leadership at the Efia-Nkwanta hospital. They are saying that defibrillator situation has been rectified. That is the claim made, that now they have 1 or 2 defibrillators. So if someone suffers cardiac arrest or some heart-related issue and they come there, there's a way of dealing with them. We haven't got to the bottom of that claim to independently substantiate it. We do know that sometimes there's so much pressure on some of the leaders of these medical outfits, so that if they were to say a certain thing, just like in the educational sector, they would catch flack. Some could lose their positions, so they would be tight-lipped about some developments. But for now, what do you make of the general picture that this paints in respect of our medical system? I'll start with you, Dr. Sarpong Esiedu.
Right. Benjamin, good morning and thanks for having me. Am I clear?
You are. Please go ahead.
For me, there's no news here. I have said this for the 3rd time since the story broke. And I keep asking myself, where is the news? And why do I say so? There's no news because these things have been published by the government itself, by the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health and the WHO and Global Fund as far back as July last year. They told us that only 5% of our hospital consultation rooms have the basic equipment. We've known that. We have all the statistics on defibrillators, X-ray machines, incubators, and all that in the country. These have been documented by government. The problem has been that we haven't read these reports that the government has put out itself. The only thing that this has done, which is brilliant, is it has put footage to the report, because like I keep saying, our political leaders know we are lazy. They know we don't read. So they would put these things in reports, very voluminous, and know very few of us would read them. And therefore, people would not get angry. And therefore, they can take decisions that are not backed by the data, like going to build Agenda 111 and other things, when we haven't retooled our hospitals. The other thing is the Ghana Statistical Service then went further this month to put out the health survey. It clearly says that it tells us the implications of what was in the harmonization report in July, that if you do not have these equipment, this is how it impacts your healthcare. That document is also available. We all know, I've seen that Joy is serializing, especially for the reproductive health and sexual health aspects of the Ghana Statistical Service report. You are serializing it. Again, it's the same thing. Our politicians know we are lazy. They know we wouldn't read. They know that even if we read, the few of us who do it, we wouldn't get the traction. And therefore, they'll put these things in there. So I don't want us to put this at the bottom of, say, Efian Kwanta or, for that matter, any other hospital. The truth of the matter is the government knows that only 5% of our hospitals have the basic equipment, and 95% of those consultations, if you go into them, they might misdiagnose you because it's not because of incompetence of the health professionals. It is just because they do not have the tools to work. So for me, I don't see the story, to be honest. And it's sad that as a health professional and a health researcher, I actually see such abominable numbers, and I'm telling you, I don't see the story because this is no news. It is an indictment on all of us, but that is the reality.
And I perfectly understand you why you're saying there's no story. From our end, we'll have to make it prominent because it is a story. But I completely understand you. It has become so commonplace that you've almost become inured to it, right? You see it everywhere, and it's more like, okay, this is the situation across the board anyway. Yes. So why should we make a mountain out of a molehill?
Yes.
It's happening everywhere.
Yes, Benjamin, and that is the sad thing. You see, we're talking about Efian Kwanta, that's a regional hospital. In actual fact, when you look at the statistics in the harmonization report, Efian Kwanta doesn't look bad. The regional hospitals, yes, the statistics for them are abominable, and it shouldn't be like that. But if you go to the district hospitals, health centers, and CHIP compounds, they are diabolic. The numbers, anyone should go and pick that report and read it. And so I say that there is no story here because these reports were signed by officials we have entrusted. You can go and take the report and see the acknowledgement. All the big wigs who run our health systems are signatories to these reports. So if you start by telling me that there's pressure being put on people not to speak, I see hypocrisy. Because at the end of the day, you signed the report, you commissioned it, you put it in public in July of last year, you know the content, and now someone puts a video to it, and then you are raising hell and fire saying that it doesn't exist. What is in your report then? Did I write the report, or you wrote it yourself? You see, and that is why, yes, it's become so common. I see it so commonly. I look at the data as part of my day job, and I see it, and I'm saying it is no news. The news is the fact that you guys have done a brilliant job and put it in a way that the Ghanaian would appreciate how dangerous these things are. And that I commend you for. But the actual content that we are, shambolic when it comes to some of these statistics is no news.
Thank you for situating the conversation that way, Dr. Kwame Sarpong. Hold for me. I see a comment here that I completely, it just got me thinking. Nana Obi is on Facebook. He says, is that a hospital? Yes, that's a hospital. What do you see there with the rusty chairs look at that, cracks, crevices, roofing, lighting. Yes, that is a hospital for you in Ghana. I mean, this could be a death trap. It could cave in at some point, and maybe you're going for health and you could meet something else. God forbid. But let me come to Bright Emisanyako. You are the national chairman, Ghana Coalition of NGOs in Health. Bright, what comes to mind? What picture does this paint to you of our health situation in the country?
Thank you very much once again, and good morning for having me, and good morning to my two panelists. I am taking cue from where Dr. Sarpong ended, and you agree that yes, it looks to new people who are seeing this as a story, but for some of us who have been in the sector and continue to scout around the communities, have seen this over and over and over again. This is the reason why we sometimes say our health facilities and the system itself is sicker than giving treatment to us as people, citizens of Ghana. If you look at such a situation as a regional hospital, then you can go down to look at a chief's compound or what we call a health center or the district hospital that provide primary health care. If we don't have these basic health equipment that supports delivery at emergency and is able to give life back to people who perhaps are having some attacks, then you can imagine what we talk about when you go to a district facility and then they transfer you in an ambulance to visit a tertiary facility for which we are seeing one today. So it is a very dying situation and very abhorrent that our politicians sometimes think of the physical things that people will see and praise them on. Like we are building 111 hospitals. Are they going to be finished? Are we going to make it fully functional and get all these equipment there? What will make the Ghanaian or the citizen be happy that we have a better healthcare system? Is it the facility, the nice facility we are going to see? Probably yes, to all of us who are failing ourselves, because we don't know much of what goes into health service delivery. So when we see that somebody is making pronouncement of probably building the 111 hospitals, building Terminal 3, and then what we call it, rich and other things, we think that is all. It is not a flashy buildings. It is what is in it to support our healthcare system. And that is what we need to look out for and be able to champion government to make them functional and support to our health system. And in a long term, at least bring our families, our children, our mothers back to life. These are the things we are missing. And my brother, sometimes you would say it over and over and over as advocates. And they, take it from me, the government today is not touched even by demonstrations and whatever and so on. So they only do things that might give them votes the next time. And those are the flashy things that we see, and people praise them for it, leaving the very most important things that will bring back life to us to survive in a very hard economy we find ourselves today.
And, all of this breaks my heart when I hear them, and the lack of logic, okay? You see, and we must say it as it is. I think we're too nice as a people when it comes to these matters, and that's why our leaders take advantage of us. We have so many hospitals in dire need of logistics, even manpower, finances, renovation, and all of that. I remember sometime, was it last year or a year and a half ago, there was a hospital somewhere in the Northern Belt. One of you has your microphone on and it's coming in, if you don't mind. In the Northern Belt of the country, and this hospital was, I think, a district or something hospital. It was so dilapidated. It hadn't seen any sort of renovation for decades. This was a place where in a pediatric ward, a snake was found. And you ask yourself how we can look at that and say we are putting up other hospitals when all these hospital facilities are there. But let me bring into the conversation now Dr. Mark Kurt Nawani. He is Deputy Ranking Member, Parliament's Health Committee. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Dr. Nawani. Dr. Nawani, if you can hear me, please unmute so I can know that you are there with me. Hello, Doc? All right, so I'll come back to Doc later. Sylvester sends me a message. He says, Benjamin, what you're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. In Sandema, all the departments are in dilapidated structures. The district assembly, that is the Ministry of Is it MOFA you're saying? Okay, so Ministry of Food and Agriculture, because that's not finance. Health Directorate, this list goes on. Yet it was elevated to a municipal status only recently. I'm wondering the criteria for such elevation. So coming back to you, Dr. Esiedu, you look at the situation in our hospitals. We've spoken about defibrillators. I mean, dialysis machines, incubators, among others. Having gone round, having conducted all these surveys, what are some of the most basic things that these hospitals should have? I may even be talking about things that are too, already out there, big in scale. What are some of the most basic things that these hospitals require that they do not have oftentimes when you go around, Dr. Esiedu?
Like I said, if you get the health harmonization report, 10% of all pharmacies in hospitals in Ghana have the basic thermometer to maintain a cold chain. 10%. 90% don't have it. Which means if you went to these hospitals, you do not even know how your insulin or your vaccines were stored. That's not me saying it. That is documented. You understand? They tell us that only 5% of consultation rooms have the full complement of equipment. When you look at, dialysis machines, there are about 5 regions that have none. Ventilators, same. You see, the list goes on and on and on. And like I've said, this conversation shouldn't be about raising the temperament of the public, but question the thinking of our political leaders. And I say so because if you have a document like this, and then you write a budget, and that's why I said we should elevate the conversation above the heads of the technocrats who run our health system to the politicians, because the technocrats do not provide the funding that runs health.
Right.
But if the politicians have these documents, they know, for example, the number of doctors. They know what our doctor-to-patient ratio is. They know the number of hospitals we have in Ghana that require a doctor to function. They know that each of our 5 teaching hospitals, for example, requires a minimum of about 300 doctors because they are training people to run. So they already take out about 1,500 of our doctor pool. And they know that the cause of low bed syndrome is not because there's a lack of beds, but there's a lack of health human resource. But we are adding on more beds because we are building new hospitals. You ask yourself, does the statistics back the decision of the policymakers? And that is where the conversation for me should be situated.
Let me come to Bright again before I try Dr. Nawani one more time. Bright, so what Dr. Esiedu says actually reminds me of a happening. Some 2 years ago or so, I had contracted COVID and I was on my own. It was one early morning, maybe from midnight till around 2 o'clock. I just felt this uneasiness in my chest. It was really bad. And I had tried calling my brother, couldn't reach him. A health, a doctor, couldn't get the person. Unfortunately, I think all these people I was calling, you can imagine, were dead in sleep. So I had to finally muster courage because I realized something was happening to me. Got into my car and started driving. Went to the 37 military hospital. Unfortunately, at the time, where I would go, the emergency area, there was some fumigation going on. There was a place outside where only military people were being treated or those who had served. So I couldn't get treatment. Went to what is now the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. And, it's only God because I went there. This was around maybe 3 getting to 4 o'clock in the morning, dawn. There was no bed available. I asked whether they had oxygen or anything there was none. And even worse, a doctor was only going to be able to show up at around 8 a.m. Imagine, 4+ hours, and I had to wait. I turned around. I was praying all through. I turned around. By the time I got to the car park, back to my car, I was feeling much better. I drove home, and that was the end of it. I could have easily died. Our health system. That's what it is. So when you look at all of this and how shockingly, like Dr. Isiedu says, in these health facilities, you would have only 10% with something as basic as thermometers. Do you think our politicians, especially, who allocate money to all of this, are doing us any justice? Is it that they are not listening to the technocrats, or is it plain ignorance? Where do you think the problem is? Bright, are you with me?
Yes. God does a lot of miracles in our lives. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been talking to you today, listening to you and how you narrated your own story, your own bit of the story. You would agree with me that, as I earlier on alluded to, if politicians will listen to the technocrats and then take note of the critical reports that comes out, even from various audits in the facility, we would have known that some are device and instrument or equipment related, and those are the things we needed to fix. But are those things going to be what will give them the vote that they need? These are questions I have always asked myself, and then I have never gotten answers to, because you don't attempt to understand the thinking of the Ghanaian ourselves. People are so fascinated with seeing flashy buildings and other things that are virtually empty with the things that will give us what we need. And that is what I continue to say. How many doctors do we need in a facility? Consider our primary healthcare level, the primary facility, district hospitals, the secondary hospital, the tertiary, and then more. The situation you are describing to us now happened in a tertiary facility where they are supposed to have these basic equipment and amenities that they don't have. So you can go back to ask yourself, those our mothers who are seeking healthcare down there in the communities, which has the only district hospital as the highest facility, what is happening there? So you don't actually know whether our politicians work with the reports that are available to fix the gaps thereof, or they are tempted to use the things that they think they can do better for us that are not documented anywhere. Because all these things that Dr. Isiedu said are the realities. These are sitting in reports in Ghana. Every year, just consider the annual reports from the ministry and the Ghana Health Service and the likes. And you get to know the gaps there. Go to the facilities themselves and take their reports, and you will see. In the documentary we are watching, a lady is just talking about the batteries to the defibrillator. Is it too expensive for a country like Ghana to replace a battery and get service technicians to be working on these machines from time to time? No, but what do we see? After all, is it going to be, is it a problem, or is it the first time somebody is going to die because there's no defibrillator or a ventilator? No. So, the facility will continue to suffer. For them, the politicians, they have the opportunity of seeking healthcare somewhere due to the diplomacies that they carry themselves across. And then they will leave the very Ghanaians, their own citizens, who brought them to power. So when you hear such stories, you are too demoralized and don't know what to do next. As I said, if you are tempted to say, oh, we are going on demonstration, we are going to the parliament, we are going here, at the end of the day, what has happened in all the demonstrations that have gone on? When people are talking about changing personalities so that even our economy becomes a bit sustainable or pick up shape, it's like nobody is hearing us.
Right.
So like the nurse said, or the doctor said, they give up on the patients. And we advocates sometimes are tempted to even give up because nobody listens to you. No changes are seen. Nobody is doing anything to anybody in this country. So you only pray to God to protect you and your family whenever you move out. Otherwise, I am telling you, at one safety conference, regional directors and then health professionals were mentioning it. Our system were not working. When they were themselves sick from their constituencies, they came to Accra. Nobody knew and could speak to their faces that you are Dr. So and so. And for that matter, they dumped them somewhere. What about me and you that nobody knows at all? We have to fix the challenges in our system. And some of them are what we are looking at today. A tertiary facility without a ventilator. When somebody comes out from an emergency situation, what are we going to do? We are just going to observe that person die like that. And it's a very situation in our country that we find ourselves in our country. And I don't know, and we will continue to advocate and mention this. We thank you for the opportunity. In fact, continue to do this for us so that we will speak to those who would hear, and one day, we know we will get a leader that will be in the position to fix it for us. So Ghana becomes a healthy nation. Thank you.
Hold for me, Mr. Anyako. Interesting points. We're in this together. I've always said, and I'm going to one of the politicians on this matter, I've always said, you know, there have been, and I always stay away from mentioning the names, but we have had politicians in this country, even to the highest office of the land, have medical emergencies. And we have seen the things that have happened. You know what? I might as well go ahead and mention the PV Obeng's, his health situation in a vehicle somewhere. Was it a taxi or something? Who knows if we had better health conditions, whether he could have been rushed somewhere. Emisa Arthur, our former vice president, Professor Mills of blessed memory, all of them, among others, who have had health situations. I remember that member of parliament, I think minister as well, from the MPP's end. You see, they forget that you can be traveling elsewhere for checkups and all of that. But if there's an emergency, you will have to follow what is here. And if what is here is that bad, you might get caught. It will shock you when you will get caught. Dr. Margaret Nawane is a deputy ranking member on Parliament's Health Committee. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
Straight question to you. You have about only 10% of our medical facilities, if I heard Dr. Esiedu right, with...
Come again?
Can you hear me, Doc?
Yeah, I'm in my constituency, so the reception is not that very good.
Can you hear me, Doc?
Yeah, I can hear you, okay.
I'm saying,
yes.
We have about 10%, only 10% of our health facilities, if I heard Dr. Esiedu right, with thermometers, something as basic as a thermometer to check your temperature. Why is it that our hospitals, many of them, lack basic equipment like thermometers, like defibrillators, like ventilators? The question is, why?
Good morning to the viewers of Joy TV. And I'll say that, well, I might put the percentage, in terms of thermometers, I might put the percentage above the 10% anyway.
You put it at what?
I'll put it above 10% anyway, definitely. In terms of thermometers, yes. But
based on what? Is it a study?
But it is true that, in fact, we lack a lot of equipment. And all this has to do with, in fact, our wrong prioritization. If you consider the amount of money that comes into the health sector in a year, we should be doing something far better than this. And I blame practically everybody, including the politicians, including the technocrats, who are supposed to advise the politicians, and probably the whole country, because we start certain things and we don't ask questions. We are just happy that we started them. harm. Because if you consider the situation that last year, on Agenda 111, we spent almost, or since we started, we spent almost $200 million on Agenda 111, and we've not added a single bed in terms of the number of beds in the country. We've not been able to do that. Then we ask ourselves, what are our aims? What do we want to solve? What mistakes do we want to overcome? What are the problems that we want to solve? And you realize that as a nation, honestly speaking, we are not putting our priorities right. We are simply getting everything wrong. And we are applauding where we should be condemning. This is what is happening in the country, in the health sector. And if you ask me, sitting as a member of the Health Committee of Parliament, I'll tell you that, look, not that we don't try to resist whatever is happening, but what is happening is that most of these issues are brought in, they are packaged in such a way that you would think that the resources to carry out these activities are already available, and that the other problems that we have, we also have other means of solving them. But in the long run, we mix everything up. You realize that this maintenance of hospitals that you are talking about, they are not carried out. We are not able to do them. And that is not because of the fact that there's no money coming into the health sector. Indeed, this government, the MPP have, in fact, I believe that one of the highest amount of money coming into the health sector, even during the COVID era. The amount of money that came into the health sector solved most of us. But it looks as if we manage the information in such a way that the technocrats, the politicians are able to get their way using just the management of information. And the rest of the country were left behind. And by the time that we start asking questions about what has happened, or what are we supposed to do, or knowing that we've gotten everything wrong, it is already gone.
I get the point you're making, but you yourself, you're a politician. You're a lawmaker. You are deflecting part of the blame onto the ruling administration. I understand. You say with a lot of these decisions, you don't side with them, but they go ahead. I mean, we also saw what happened when your party, the NDC, was in power. But the point I'm trying to make is that even with everything that is happening, are you saying that as legislators, you have no way of whipping in line authority so that the right things must be done? Look at the footage we have of the Effiong Kwanta Hospital. It's a death trap. It's a death trap. We have hospitals in this country that do not have the bare bones of logistics. I mean, how can this be? How do we explain this?
It's true. It's true. I mean, if you talk of defibrillators, well, I'll say that for some time now, emergency medicine is growing in the country. I was at the Kolebu emergency 30 years ago as a house officer, and we were not even having cardiac monitors at that time, at that center. That is Kolebu 30 years ago, around 1993. And you see that if you compare it to what we have now, probably we are now getting the sense of what we call emergency medicine as a specialty and as a way of managing patients who are brought in urgently. But defibrillators, that is at a high level. You don't have, if you go to most of these hospitals, I believe that apart from the thermometer that they are talking about, the BP apparatus, how many do they have? Ventilators, simple surgical equipment. What do we have? But we are pushing the resources into Agenda 111. When you want to talk about Agenda 111, people think that you are against infrastructure development. During my presentation, the budget presentation, I asked myself, if this $200 million that has been spent on Agenda 111 was spent on that, which needed about $50 million to be able to complete, to start and complete it, and we're able to use this money to build about 15 or 20 hospitals. That is the $200 million. Is it not better than spreading them across the whole country, doing block work? And we know that when you have done block work, you've done nothing. We are people who have built in Ghana here. We build our houses. We know that the block work is nothing, and this is what the government is doing to showcase. I'm saying that we are getting our priorities right or wrong. We are applauding where we should not be. Our health ministry is not doing the best. What they've been able to do is to get there, and authorities are used to cover up for the bad decisions that they are taking. And remember, in Parliament, they have their numbers. Ghanaians gave them the majority. It could be one, yes, but it is a majority. And that is where the problem lies. And I believe that you said that during the NDC period, we also did our own. NDC period, it was targeted. It was targeted. We built some number of hospitals. We completed them. There were some few we did not complete. We expected this government should be able to complete them. Now go to Formina, go to Kumewu, go to we call the Central Hospital in our central. Go to all these hospitals. They are still there. Up to now, they are not operational. And we are talking of building and building and building. And that is what Ghanaians are looking at. And when you resist it, you become like an enemy of society, because they think that you don't want to the development to get to certain areas of the country.
This is particularly pathetic. I'll pose the last question to you and then dispatch you, because I know you are in your constituency and you likely have to make your rounds. But having said all of this, even before I get to my other guests on other pertinent matters, I'd like to find out from you, since you have to go. What then do we do? Because if we keep on like this, it's clear our health system at a point will fall to its knees, if it's not there already. You go to most of our hospitals, you must engage in some form of corruption, else even getting blood, getting a bed, you will not get it. Last year, someone was in need. I had to go speak, do all kinds of things. It is crazy what is going on. We have seen vaccine shortages. I've never seen it in my life. Vaccine shortages for children in this country. Not once. I don't even know what the situation is now. What then, Dr. Nawani, my final bit to you before I move on to my other guests. What then do you feel you as legislators can do and we as a people ought to do to change the script?
Yes. I remember when this vaccine shortage came, that is especially when there was a business outbreak because of vaccine shortage in the northern part of the country. I made a statement on the floor of Parliament. I tried to let the media get on top of it. And for some time, I believe that we made some progress. But the issue of some of these fundamental things, or like vaccine, fundamental things like vaccine not being available in our country, it's a shame. It's a shame. That is why I'm saying that we are simply not prioritizing right. We have some amount of counterpart funding that was supposed to provide to ensure that we get all these vaccines in their numbers, that's as a country. But in terms of funding, it's mostly donor funded. It's mostly donor funded. This counterpart funding, I mean, it will surprise you to know that our government is not always able to provide. And that is all I'm telling you that, look, let us not look anywhere. You can blame the politicians, you can blame the technocrats, but as a nation, we should be on top of issues. We should let things happen before we come back and do a postmortem. What we are doing now is like a postmortem. Most of the issues we are discussing, they happen. We are supposed to be on top and discuss the issue before they descend on us. And one bad thing about what is happening in the country is that when things are being discussed in Parliament, a lot of these civil societies and other things appear to be mute on them at the time that we are discussing them in Parliament. The minority do not have the numbers, but they bring out the issues. Now, it is up to civil society. It is up to the press. It is up to the National House of Chiefs. It is up to the state society to join Parliament at that point to try to do the right thing. But when these issues are brought up and we don't join Parliament to change the situation there, and it goes into the budget. For example, we are not talking of ECG 15%. All these things were stated in the budget. When the minority were rejecting them, nobody spoke about it. Now it is an issue which has been picked up by the trade union organizations. Where were they when these issues were being discussed in Parliament?
Right.
Let us get our the people who say that when the issues are not being discussed and trying to become a policy, trying to become a law, at that point we should all resist. If it means that we should even go on demonstrations, fine. Let us resist at that point. But we'll wait. When the thing now it becomes like a law, now they are being trying to implement it.
So you're saying the way forward is let's hold our leaders accountable before there's a mess. Look at the Public Accounts Committee, for example. Sometimes you only see things after the fact. You are calling for demonstrations. I hope that if your administration comes to power again, if they do, and people also demonstrate on these same points, you will not feel hard done by.
During the NDC era, I believe that this is where the civil society and other organizations, they were really very hard on NDC. Right. I don't know what has happened now, but they were really very hard, and I think it was positive. Yes.
All right.
It was positive. All these things are positive things. We encourage people to demonstrate it.
All right.
To ensure that we get things right.
Dr. Nawane, thank you so much for your time, and we wish you the best in your constituency. Dr. Mark Nawane was just speaking to me. He is Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Health Committee. But let me come back to you, Dr. Esiedu. Having listened to Dr. Nawane on everything he said, and before you come in, just to acknowledge some of the messages coming in, Belladonna Kwe says this is a disgrace for both the NDC and the NPP. Sylvester says, Benjamin, what you're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. In Sandema, all the departments are in dilapidated structures. I think I've done that. This one says, Ben, we have had bad managers holding positions in these hospitals. How much does it cost to maintain wooden ceilings and painting costs? Just develop a strategy for small IGF, and as a manager, use it to solve the small problem before it degenerates. It's easier said than done. It's not as simple as you put it. Oba Lami says, wicked leaders everywhere. Evans says, what actually is Ghana turning into? Why can't our leaders think about us, the citizens? Dramado Selom Dramani says, Benjamin, I totally agree with one of your guests who said our leaders are only interested in building flashy hospitals without providing essential medical equipment and specialists. Someone is talking about VAT, being tired of taxes and all of that, but that's not the substantive conversation. Iggy says, why can't we spend the money on expanding and retooling the existing hospitals, clinics, and polyclinics than to have blocks raised which will never become hospitals? Maybe I should put that question to you, Dr. Esiedu, and if you have any reactions to what Dr. Nawani said, I'm sure you do. Over to you, sir.
Right, thanks. You see, Benjamin, clearly, listening to Dr. Nawani, this is part of the problem. Dr. Nawani says when it comes to pharmacies with thermometers, they will be more than 10%. But I am not saying, it's not Kwame saying, this is in the Ghana Health Harmonization Report 2022-2023. And I read, only 10% of facilities with a main pharmacy store had a functional thermostat, and 4% of the facilities with a current room temperature of minus 15 to 25 degrees inclusive. It's stated. So when I hear a parliamentarian dispute something that has actually been researched by the WHO, the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health, then I know he's not read the documents. And if the people who are making the laws are not reading the documents, then we have a big problem. And yesterday, the same thing happened on PM Express with the PRO of the Ministry of Health, who was challenging things that were in the Health Harmonization Report. And I had to take him on the same way and say, and so I'm becoming concerned because now, yesterday, it happened with someone who speaks on behalf of the MPP. Today, it's happened with someone who speaks on behalf of the NDC.
Right.
That should concern us as a country, that the people who are actually in charge are not reading. So they probably are not reading, and that's why they know we also don't read.
The people in charge are not in charge because they don't know.
No, they are not reading. They commission the reports because they have to commission them. And people get certain allowances. And people can build buildings. But when it comes to actually reading what is in those reports, they don't. Yes, I read them. And so I was saying them out of memory. But when he challenged it, I had to open up the report to see, have I quoted wrongly? Because if I've quoted wrongly, then I acknowledge it because people are listening to it.
Right.
But when I realized that actually the 10%, only 4% even have a functioning temperature. It goes down when you go minus 15 to 25. For storing things like very, very freeze-dried things, we're in trouble. And so I ask myself, then he starts blaming the NPP. But if you are not reading the reports, how do you even stand on the floor of Parliament and challenge them at the health select?
Right.
So you see, we have serious problems, systemic, and that's why I said we should elevate this conversation far above the head of the technocrat and start challenging and holding the policymakers to account. Because if the person coming with the policy is coming with a shambolic policy, and the person who's supposed to challenge it has also not read the document that will give him the tools and the statistics to challenge it, then we are all running in the dark, and that is dangerous.
And that even reminds me about Agenda 111, right? Imagine these same people who are not reading, who don't know specifically the problems on the ground. Oh, political situation. Let's put up 111 hospitals in districts and regions and all of that without actually addressing the problem.
Let me do a quick mathematical off-the-back calculation for you to appreciate how dire that decision is. If you look in the facts and figures, the Ghana Health Service, document on their quality of work, it tells you that there are about 2,700 hospitals in Ghana that need a doctor, at least one doctor to run. These hospitals run for 24 hours. So at least if the doctor is working an 8-hour contract, which none of them do, you need a minimum of 3 doctors to run on each of these hospitals. If you do that calculation, 3 times 2,700, you are getting to over 7,000 doctors you need. When you take out the 5 teaching hospitals, which are taking out 1,500, we do not have enough doctors to even go around the current stock of hospitals we have.
To talk of.
On what basis are you told the 111? So if then you want to challenge it, you have to challenge it with their own statistics. But if the people are also not reading the facts and figures from the Ministry of Health, how are they going to challenge these things? And that is why I get animated when I start talking about these things and I realize that people are not talking to the numbers, but they are going on an emotional tirade. I struggle. Because if you want to argue, let's argue the numbers. At the end of the day, we all want it to get better. And so, if we want it to get better, we need to know what our numbers are, what our stock of equipment are, what our stock of human resources are, what our attrition rate of health human resources are, what our production of health human resources are. But if we are not talking all these numbers and we all go on and say, oh, no, as for thermometers in pharmacy, I'll put it more than 10%.
Yeah.
I get worried.
Yeah.
I get worried. And then I have to push back. And I have to push back very aggressively. And I make no apologies when I take those postures, because at the end of the day, we are speaking to Ghanaians whose money was used to commission these reports. And if we're commissioning those reports and you are not reading them, then as a researcher in the area, I need to push back forcefully.
Right.
And at that point, I don't take any prisoners. I don't really care who you are. And you see, gentlemen, let me end it this way. The sad truth is, when you take these postures, like I sometimes do, the very people you are advocating for, the Ghanaians, we've divided ourselves partisanly. By now, go and check Facebook, the insults flying on my wall.
Yeah.
And you know it. They've been flying since what? The NDC time have been flying through the NPP time. Yes, it's just water off the back of a stone, because that is how I've become. But the point is, the people doing that don't even know that they are putting themselves in harm's way. So, and that's why I'm saying that as a people, we are collectively lazy. And I have just pointed out to you laziness on the part of leadership, laziness on the part of the opposition, and I'm not showing you, when it comes to our partisanship, laziness on the part of the citizens. And that is why our health system is where it is.
And partisanship is killing us. I've seen some people sending me messages, for example, there's this Francis Kasua Datas guy sending me a message about John Dramani Mahama and that everything he's saying is not... You know, I feel a lot of us in this country, we have serious problems. Serious problems. Because everything has become so political. Nothing related to the conversation. It's just to, oh, this person is coming and Dr. Bawumia is better. How does that situate in the conversation? You sitting there. If you were to go to a public health facility now, and if something happened to you, and I mean, God forbid, will that person you are campaigning for come and save you? But I totally agree with you, Dr. Asiedu. This is where we are. So people will take an entrenched position for the NDC, and whatever is wrong there, they will not see it, because the only tinting they have are green, white, black, and red. Someone else will take a position for the MPP, and the only tinting they see, even when things are down there, all they see is red, white, and blue. Well, we are there inside, Abby. If you go, your family loses you, maybe we'll start learning some sense. Bribe. And I use my words carefully. I meant exactly what I said. We've become so polarized in this country that we are not thinking. And we are allowing the politicians to feed into it and play us like ping pong, because we refuse to think. And so they find a way in the middle and play us. Right. There's also the issue of maintenance. We don't maintain our hospital facilities, even those we have. I don't know the last time it was that you went to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, formerly the Rich Hospital. But I look at how it was only a few years ago. Go and look at it now. I've been going there because, like I said, 2 people I know have had health situations and been there. If you look at the insides, if you look at what it was then and now, look at some equipment and the rest, you would ask yourself, what is our maintenance culture in this country, even when it comes to health? How do we think? Right. I believe that's a crucial part of the problem as well. What do you think?
Oh, yes, thank you very much, Ben. In fact, I already have mixed feelings to react to some of the things Dr. Kate Nawani said, and I would like to cut that across quickly and take up the question. You see, I heard Dr. Kate speak like me, who is a civil society actor, and that is a good feeling to me that, yes, all of us are seeing the same problems. But at the end of the day, I was also amazed, and it surprised me to hear him speak like that when he occupies the high office of a deputy ranking for health in the parliament, where all the challenges are brought to, where all the budgets are approved, where all the prioritizations are made. So if Dr. Kurt will speak like this, I am happy though, but I expect him to have, given us more insights and better solution to the topic we are discussing than also shifting the blame on maybe his colleagues, because they have both experienced the same thing and they have not given us the best as NDC or NPP as Ghanaians. Now let's go to the maintenance issues. This is something that will happen in the facility and nobody will see it. Therefore, the politician will not push any money there. The facility managers would only raise their IGF and look at how they can replace their stock, commodities, consumables, and even some of these equipment that we are talking about, because they don't have them. And they would continue to defend audit death mortalities where these...
Hello, Bright.
Equipment could have helped them to save people. All their attention. Hello, they are going to shift all their attention to how they can get commodities for consumables for treatments, other than maintaining infrastructures, which is the business of government. And not Rich alone. Rich is so close to us. Let's go out of Rich to the regions and then the district and see. I believe as we move forward, we should look at how we can do a comprehensive audit of our facilities and the medical equipment, and then across the countries at each level, from the district level to even the quaternary level, and look at what the gaps are and begin to raise funding to fix them. Ghana has had a lot of funding for emergency response and preparedness when COVID. I don't understand why some of these things are not coming up.
Right.
Why government is still not prioritizing some of these things to solve the challenges in the facilities. So, moving forward, if government can even cut down on the 111 and look at doing a few 11 and making them functional, it will help us then continue building and then build.
Right. Bright, thank you for that submission. I'll come to you shortly for your concluding comments. This comment comes through. It says, good morning, please. Okay, so those are just pleasantries. This is sick, and some of us, the youth, don't see anything wrong with our leaders. That is why some person will win an election in this country. I can't mention. You are mentioning someone who won a parliamentary primary recently in the MPP. And you say it's from Papa Yenzu Kwanza from Takrady. Well, it goes back to the politics I was just talking about. I guess, like I said, we day inside. There are Ayarisabia, so why nya Ayarisa, na bibi koto wo hwa, say wa, yakae, wusi debi, bibia ekoye. You think everything is going well. When you go there that day, or that loved one goes to hospital, and you don't see them again, then maybe you'll wake up. This other comment comes through. It says, in my area, we have a new hospital, but if you want to conduct an ulcer test or even a scan, you have to move your patient from Sawula to Bole for the scan. While it is alleged that the machines are there, now we're being told, like I started by saying, the Efiang Kwanta Hospital, whether it is arm twisting or whatever, they say they have defibrillators now. We've not independently confirmed that. But when we went there, they did not have it the last time, which are the scenes you actually saw. And sometimes too, it's about, you can't even talk. Educational system, health system, because if you do, you'll be removed from post, or this will happen, or you'll be transferred. So people will also, it is what it is. Dr. Siedu, what is the way forward? How do we solve this? Unless we have Dr. Nawani, I hear he has a comment on maintenance. Dr. Nawani, you're back. I hear you have a comment on maintenance before we wrap.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yes, with the situation of maintenance, I've followed the health system for the past 30 years. When it was even cash and carry, there was a quarterly allocation from central government to hospitals for maintenance. Now, in the advent of the NHIA, facilities are expected to use their IGF to do maintenance, especially on their buildings, etc. It's part of their IGF that they are expected to use. But what do we see? What we are seeing is that the tariff structure from NHIA is not good. So in the long run, what comes in as revenue is not even able to run most of the hospitals, let alone leave some for them to be able to carry out the maintenance. And this, let me tell you, has to do with the amount of money that is given to NHIA. The NHIA is not the amount of money that is given to the NHIA from the total amount that is collected. Sometimes it's about 50% of the total amount that is collected. That is money that is collected in the name of the sick, in the name of the deprived citizens of Ghana, in the name of those who need health care. This amount of money that is collected in their name is not used for the purpose. The finance ministry do not release even up to 80% of the amount that is collected for this purpose. So the blame, initially, I used to blame the NHIA for that, but now I've realized that it is not the NHIA, it is rather the finance minister, the finance ministry that has to be blamed for no releases to the NHIA, which is reflected, or it is reflected in poor tariffs to service providers.
Right.
And that is now what is happening in our facilities. It is, if you go to most of the facilities, they are worse than they were in around 2004, 2005, onwards, even up to 2015, 2015. They are worse now because the releases are very, very bad. The last time there was a very high release was around 2015, 2016, when under the NDC, 80% of the amount was released. But we have to advocate for 100% release from the Ministry of Finance to the NHIA.
Right. So your point is made there, and we all know what is going on there. I recently spoke to someone in the pharmaceutical sector who says he's had to stop accepting the National Health Insurance card because he's owed millions of cedis, which have not been paid to him. But Dr. Nawani, before you go again, since you decided to call in this time, before you go, Dr. Esiedu pointed to something which I feel you should answer to. Yes. Some of you in the health sector, you yourselves do not have the data, you don't have the facts, and that is a part of the problem. Yesterday, he engaged, I believe, on PM Express, the PRO of, is it the Ghana Health Service? Dr. Esiedu, was it the Ghana Health Service or the Ministry of Health? Okay, so one of them. And this person did not have information and was trying to counter him. The person was clueless, didn't know what they were talking about. When I spoke about the thermometers, that the report, per report, it says 10%. You said, no, you think it's above that. But the report says it is 10%. So part of the problem, he alludes, is the fact that you, the people who should know better, you are not even reading these documents, the health reports and others. And so even in fashioning laws or policies, you don't get it right. How do you react to that?
I would say that probably we are not reading all the documents that are available, but just be sure that we are analyzing all or scrutinizing practically everything that comes to our notice and to us. We read enough. The situation, like I'm saying, is that this fight is not the fight of only parliamentarians, nor is it a fight of one or two people. He has that information from wherever he might have gotten those documents from. He has that information. I'm saying that he join us in the fight. That's what I'm saying. with that knowledge that he has, he should go out to the fight at the right time. Or not that when we are fighting, initially the fight is said that it is an NDC-MPP fight. So let's leave them, once the two parties are fighting among themselves, let us leave them. With their knowledge or not knowledge, let us leave them fight their fight. And when you do that, you become a spectator, but not a citizen.
Thank you, Dr. Nawani, for getting back to us on this conversation. I'll read these final comments and take the final comments of my guests. This one says, Ben, the entire Sekondi Takoradi is sick. Come, and the nature of roads in the city, Aprem Dokwesimintim to Takoradi roads for Efiang Kwanta Regional Hospital. These two big parties are not helping Ghana. We, the poor ones, are dying. Papa Yenzu sends that again. Then Kwabene J says, it is very worrying when you're discussing national issues that affect most of us and youth of today. That person's comment has been deleted, but youth of today will spring up politics. Meanwhile, these youth cannot even afford private hospitals, but will blindly be speaking for party A or B, say it, NDC or MPP. But Ben, why are some private hospitals still in good shape and lovely to be in? So I still say this government hospital or these government hospitals need good managers. So you be there when we are discussing these issues. Be there and be doing MPP and NDC. Oh, everything is fine. You go to the hospital someday. When it happens to you, it will catch up with you someday. Dr. Esiedu, I'd like to take your final comments on this matter. What's the way forward? From that, I'll go to Bright. Dr. Esiedu.
Well, thanks. The way forward for me is that we acknowledge the problems. The first thing about it, as a health professional, the first thing is about accurate diagnosis and accepting that there's a problem. So that for me is the first thing. If we keep doing these surveys and research and don't acknowledge that we have a problem, and then go to the second stage of trying to prioritize the problems and dealing with them in a short, medium, and then having long-term plans to prevent recurrence, we are not going to solve these problems because we are constantly going to be firefighting. And for me, that is how we can fix this. We have the data now. It's copious, like Dr. Nawani eventually alluded to. They are not reading all of it. And I like it when people can raise their hands and say, well, yes, at this part, fine. But that tells us that there is the information. Is it also that maybe in Parliament they need more research support and other things to help them tease out these things? So we need to get the diagnosis of our problems right and then acknowledge them and then start fixing them. For me, that's how it should go. And I'll end it this way. No party in 2024 should come to us with a health manifesto to say, I'll do X, Y, Z, when it's not in tandem with the health harmonization report or with the facts and figures from the Ministry of Health. Anyone who does that, we should advocate and clamp the person down straight away. That would be part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending time with us and educating us on many fronts, Dr. Esiedu. I'll wrap with you, Bright Emisanyako. Your final comments, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Ben, once again. And I think we've had a very lovely discussion, and I'll continue to reiterate that we do a comprehensive audit of our medical equipment across all levels of the facilities, from the district level, the regional, and even the tertiary levels. Then we have to set our priorities beyond just building blocks, but look at how we are going to make facilities more functional, replacing the needed equipment, the devices, and then at least training more doctors and specialists to even serve within the network of practice that has become a new policy for adoption by the Ghana Health Service. I believe when we are able to do that, we could progress and look into the future with the current Agenda 111 being cut down so that we could build about 11 of them, make them district model hospitals and functional, so that the standards, they will set up a new standard for adoption for all other district facilities moving forward to look out for and then go by that. I think that will help us as citizens, and then we'll begin to bridge the gap slowly in that direction than the way we are doing things generally without considering our priorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bright. Those who joined us for this all-important conversation, a nation's health is its wealth. Your individual health is your wealth. But if you don't get it right, where do you go from there? Those who joined us, you just heard Bright Emi Sanyako. He is National Chairman, Ghana Coalition of NGOs in Health. We also heard from the Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Health Committee, Dr. Margaret Nawane, together with Dr. Kwame Sarpong Esiedu, a CDD fellow. Still to come on the AM show, we bring you AM on Wheels. Where is our bus going today? Well, we'll be in the Weija-Gbawe constituency to interact with residents there on what they want their Member of Parliament to fix before her tenure expires. You know that Tina Mensah has been ousted by Jerry Ahmed, who will be representing the MPP in election 2024. But what will Tina Mensah leave as her legacy? Sweetie Abochi will be live from that constituency when we return on the AM show.
On Wheels on Joy News, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. My name is Sweetie Abochi, and we told you earlier this morning that we're visiting the Weija-Gbawe constituency to understand what the citizens are looking for before the last tenure for their MP expires. I'm here in Upper Weija, and I must say that the journey to this place was tough, and I can't imagine how the people living in this place are managing. But as we do, this is a citizens microphone, so I'm standing here with some of the citizens of the community, and they're going to tell us what their situation is. Good morning, and thank you all for joining us this morning. This is your microphone. Tell us exactly how bad the situation is in your community.
Thank you very much. My name is Anthony Yomeso. The situation at Upper Weija here is very terrible. The roads are not motorable at all, but we still have to get to our various houses. Sometimes we have to park our vehicles at a distance and do the rest of the journey on our foot, even though we have our various cars. Sometimes we pick taxis. They sometimes charge us double because of the roads. We are living in a situation that we cannot, it's not acceptable. It is not acceptable at all. We don't know what the MPs are doing. We don't know what the road ministers, whether they don't see these things. Sometimes we even contribute money to do more or less like a concrete to our various houses, patches. But they come around to stop us. That is not our responsibility to do that. And we keep waiting and waiting. They never come around to do anything. They don't even put gravels on the road so that it can be a little bit more trouble, or they don't even grade it. So we don't know what they are doing. If they cannot help us, we can help ourselves. They just allow us to do some patches on the road so that we can drive our various cars to our house. That's what we are asking for.
I noticed on the way here that the taxi rank had only one car at the station. Please speak about that for us.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Emmanuel Boyce Sawyer. I'm popularly known as Boyce in this area. And because of these taxis, if you can imagine buying a car and you put a car on this road, every month, every week, you have to buy ball joints, links on this road. How much will you earn to put your car on this road? The deterioration of this road is from ourselves in this area. This area, we don't respect ourselves. We are greedy. When we try to maintain this road or patch this road, some people may say you are NDC, you are MPP. Oh, because you are MPP, NDC, they wanted to see you. Because you are MPP, you wanted to be seen. MPP has been winning in this area for since Ayoko time. Because the people in this area don't want to change their mind. Voting for a particular party that the MPs will not fight for you.
The MPs are not going to fight for you because the MP knew that, oh, if you cry, you're the crime and cry because you're Shanatari MPP now, obe winning. So they've taken us for granted. The people living in this area, they are the cause of the deterioration of this road. It's not the MP, it's not the party, it's the people living here because they've not changed their mind. When you have the mind change, your road will be maintained for. Look at Adenta. They don't have a particular party that they vote for. When you come on and your party is not doing well, they kick you off. So Adenta, they are doing, when you get to Adenta, they are doing all the drainages for them. Have you seen any drainage here?
Is it a situation that the cars don't want to come here? Do you have the regular transportation, the trotros coming here and...
Normally, turn your camera to this place where the woman is selling the beans. It's a trotro station. Yes, it's a trotro station. We contributed and built the shed. You can see one shed cry over there with a pipe, that white and red over there. Yes, that's one of the poles of the trotro station. The trotro have been using this road. Always they've been complaining of their shock absorbers and their springs. Their springs have been broken, and the little that you do, you have to go and fix the car with it. So they stop coming. The party made a road at the top there, so they've all gone there. Because the people are not fighting for themselves. For themselves. When you fight for yourself, you get what you want. The people have refused to fight for themselves. That's why we are suffering.
You came here on a motorcycle. How is the situation different for you because you are on a motorcycle, or is just as bad?
You can even see when I was coming, the way I was jumping. You can even see what the guy is even passing through because it's very serious. We are even very, very suffering here. You know, be a gamash pony. Or anyone vegan, I'm a new machine. Okay, be a to watch on. Due to that, the pipe gene down edula. Can only commit who edra. I can get what I will pipe here. In Tamabia and can pipeline beje low. Pipeline just half a road there. 1 minute track be a pipeline war and have excuses. I can abanya face. So far as me, one will pure tax no pure ni as an anya fe hawo. KJ in po afili. Ka ba tawa de san obati. Be no pay tax. That is very bad. It's very, very bad. Let them know because we are serious here. No road, no vote. Let them know.
The little guy, he's saying that they pay taxes as well, so it's unfair that they have to be dealing with these situations. Let me come to the only lady in the mix. Right now, it's the dry season, so you do not see any water situation here. But can you speak to it? When it rains, how bad is the situation, or how do you manage as someone living in this community?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Mohammed Feruza, and during the rainy season, I think this area, we've been facing a lot of problems, you see, because the area is on the hill now. When it rains, the water flows down to those that are staying down there. So as a result of that, it's been entering their rooms and other things. So I think if they can do something about that, it will help.
Another question I have is, where is your assemblyman? Where is your what is your MP saying, Madam Tina Mensah? What is she saying about all this situation? Okay, yeah.
For Tina per se, I don't know how to say, but we have been here for 8 years and see our road. We vote for you. You have been taking salary in Parliament, but I don't want to consider us doing our road. And assemblyman also, the same problem we are facing. And moreover, Ghana Water, they have to also contribute because Ghana is benefiting from Weija. We produce a lot of water to Accra. And see right now what we are facing. See our pipe, all is exposed. So we need a help from them. Otherwise, our vote today it will be difficult for them to get our vote.
There was a particular story that this gentleman was sharing with me about how he had to withdraw his child from school because of the bad roads. Please shed more light on that for us.
Yeah, my kids used to go to Talented Royal, and the buses don't want to come all the way up here because of the bad roads. So I had to change their school. So they are now in a school that is close by. So I just went and dropped them. So that's what I have to be doing. But that was not my intention. You understand? They had to go to a school that I had wanted them to go. But because of the busing system, I have to change their school.
So the students or the children in this community, which schools do they attend? Do they all attend schools within this community because they can't transport in and out easily?
That is for that. That is my kids. But I don't know about the other people. Whether they also want their kids to go further away from here, and because of the buses system, they have to go to the same school. For that, I don't know. Yeah.
So most of you are traders, and you go to town and get things and come back to ply your various trades. Does the cost of transportation skyrocket because whoever is bringing you here has to charge you exorbitant prices? Please elaborate on that.
Yeah, my name is Solomon, but they used to call me Pasolo. For the sake of my people in the area, I'll come down to our dialogues. Tree. Okay. Yeah, I'll mix it for you. A kwanya ye nyina ye ka ho asem. Ache ye de ato abayenim several times, but ye nye hwe mfa ho. Isan say ye akoye MPP phone ti no krede ba akopɛ. Ye obia ni mo say had ye MPP zone. Nti nka hakra na wo se nka ye nya ni easy number ye kwan mai, but up till now a kwan we nti me cars 2 ni nyina afi me nsa. Me kwa me ba e wo se me koto enema aboso kan enye easy to 2 cars ni nyina afi me nsem sese me nante e na me kokrum ti se ne a obi say ye koto ne ma na se ye yire no kokrum no mo ba ye frɛ last junction or no frɛ no baby a car ni si no, you can turn your camera to that place. No down there. Okay, ye frɛ first light. Taxi drivers ni be see ye no no ho, then they have to trek obeswa on yema. Just imagine maybe your wife is pregnant. I was say odini nyinse na ode so yema na ode ba. It's very, very bad. We don't know what to say. Until this is the timer. I was say aban na ye MPP aban oboa no ye kwan we nyesa this time no election no e be hard e wo ha because say o ma nye kwan we amaya ye nto aban no kre me solo ye frem pa solo me na me kasa no say o ma nye e kwan we amaya MPP any vote wo ha ye damase.
Recent MPP parliamentary primaries and that's what was taking place. Madam Tina Mensah has been unseated. Instead, Jerry Ahmed is now the representative in Parliament. Is there a reason why you think he was voted for instead of Tina Mensah again?
For that reason, I don't know. It's within them. It's within the party. So I can't tell for them. But what I'm trying to say that Tina Mensah has been called here before. And, if she have to do anything with the MCE, they've been here before several times. Their cars have been passing here. Their municipal cars have been passing here. They've been seeing the road. And what they are fighting for is only revenue, stop work, and those markings. And I just don't know. They've been voted into power. In this area, we see nothing. Look at even from Weija Junction to Weija Township. NDC did the road. For them even to maintain the road, they couldn't. So we don't know the reason why. We don't know what they have been using those revenues for. Look, they have to convert. This main road have to have about 10 culverts. Now it's having about 3 culverts. Look at the volume of the water that is coming from the hills to the road. And the culverts are not big enough. The drainages are small. The time the contractor started the work, I confronted the contractor and I told him that the drainages you are doing is too small. But calculate the volume of water that is coming. He told me that the engineers, they give him that marking that you have to do. So they dug those small drainages and it's affecting the road. Look at the amount that a kilometer of a road costs. Now, where the drainages have to be, it has shown all over the place. Those places have been eroded by the water. So I just don't know the sort of engineers at that place and what the MCE himself is doing, because the time he was coming to this place, he used the road. The time the president also was coming to visit the school over here, he also used the road. So we just don't know what they are doing to this country.
Well, this is still Upper Weija in the Gbawe Weija constituency, and the people are talking about how terrible the roads are and the effect it has on their lives. We will try and meet up with your current member of parliament to respond to these challenges that you have. This is AM show, AM on Wheels. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional over all of this. But any final words before we wrap this up? Anyone has anything else to add before we wrap this up?
Yeah. I would say at least we have so many people living in this area. This is not a small area. Talk about the population here. We are much and we are huge. We will beg the government and the people who are supposed to work on this road that at least they should put some things into consideration. We are voting, we are paying our taxes, we are doing everything that we have to, but we are not seeing any benefit from it. So we are pleading with the government to come and do something on this road for us. Secondly, because of the nature of this road, the trotro, the taxis which are supposed to be working here, they've all stopped working because every day they have to go to Abosokai and buy spare parts, which is killing them. So we are pleading with the government to come to our aid. Thank you.
And Ghana Water, they have to get inspection to backfill all their pipe. See how their pipe is. So it's not good. They have to backfill the pipeline. Every rain season or every year, they have to have maintenance team, then follow the pipe, then they backfill where it's supposed to backfill.
What you're seeing on your camera right now is people who have to trek from about 1 kilometer away, as far as my eyes can see, all the way up here because the cars, the trotros and the taxis will not agree to use their cars to walk on this road. This is AM on Wheels, and when we catch up with Madam Tina Mensah, we'll bring you her response. Keep watching Joy News. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it.
I have last thing to say before you finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to say that in Parliament, and you have to live by a president for the people to know that you are doing something or you've done something. Use your last strength to come and save us in this area. Come and construct this road for us so that we can remember you. You leave your name behind this area, that you are the one who did this road, and we can always remember you. And our part and our president, this is his last year. He should also show mercy unto us. The DC or the MC over there, Kumo, he's been here for several times. He will also go in. He also must leave something behind for us to remember them. Thank you.
We are wrapping this up, but this... Go ahead. She wants to add her voice to the situation before we go. Mpacho, go ahead.
Mpamucho, yempi no sisono, no kwal wodi abro. Yedi ya huina tono so. Abro de wodi ye. Hwe ekwan we. Obi ene tam sika no ato ahwea. No de na se ya na ayeye. Na se ye ayeye poni o. Na so wabet na akunya kase so 8 years. Wumbuye te se yeye ni papo. Iti anu ane se ne ho ba mfaso e de ma ye this year. Abro ene wedi ye. Na ye tena se yesa. Iti ekwan we nu. Iti se pipe sha ha, sisa. Etumi ye bibia ha betumi aboa ye nso. Ese ye yiska ye so ye yibi. Ye bie sto wa mudi etas. Iti ye hu ni mfaso wo apa Weija ha. Iti no ho ade na ye de ye ne this year. Ye hwe nipa no so oba no do no so be ya maye ekwan we obi na yi ne bottom sika ene wato ahwea e maka atumi aforo we ya browa no wo ba wo faka wo jama wo ba no no wesi wo junction no so o se sua wo nyoma na fabra na se ne maame ne ya anka obetumi aye yesa etimasem a be kan enu ana hia me enu aso na meka se ne maame ne ya aka do oyeye anka obetumi ayeyesa se ne maame advertise never ni sikwam no nante no hia ne nyoma no mbre ebo bi wo ho to me petre push for ampo ebo ni nyeyiye wo frukra ned wo kofom na wo petre se ne maame enete ha se anka obesese se no wosese ne ho kwana kakra bi a nso hwe nkofo dem a ono kwa wosese ne mantem wo kakra bi se ne maame ne ya anka obeyesa.
She was also adding her voice to the situation where the drivers would drop them off a kilometer away to walk all the way up because they don't want to risk spoiling their vehicles. One last person wants to add his voice and then we wrap this up.
Misume country. Sebe me kama kuma swadiye. Esan se kwan wo kan ho asembia yesi pipeline. Wo kan ho asembia mi na miti awoshin. Na na expandi awoshi roads numu. Na pipeline na hihye from na nya easy. Nso omu ye roads ni pepe pipeline we pipeline ben. Politician bia baha na wa bedada ye mi pama de wa nim ha ya mi tua tax every year. This year omu ba ya mi mo 20 cedi. Na mi ka trom say mi ntua bi omu obi an step ho. Esan say mu ba bia mi si dent na mi tua tax no. Mi pama de ni di sen ho a ka twemu an futuro nkwa. Mi store na nim ho de bia passengers ni drivers ni kon. Esan say omu si road ni nti omu ntumi mfru people no. Bia mi nkasa mi hu ka fo ye adwuma. Company car I will send for beyond Druni destination. Road in Intino, yes, sin one one, now 190 and I do the suum, where I shall saw more running shift, or where we are 12 o'clock. No, Naman, I do the suum, no, the Abefie, who can't drive and see quining tea, because Tempty, Emma, or Booney shocks. Until I see on Tempty biome, until I say, soon, yeah, to Abanayama and in Daho. Because baby constituencies, yet to Abamo, one term. Now, Banawa and Yadi, young can't say. I was saying, another term, no obey, nay, I san to Amano. But Sankayen, so ye may need Dawa. And Kauba, and they you, nay, the Fufraba. Me can cry, met to Miaka Jumaku be siase. As I say, honor me wife free. Yet to Abama particular MPB, or by a one term, 1 year road, no. Ye na see that I did that and buy, or buy an and need Daho. Why rose no dru adwuma ko bisiase a adwuma ni ho but ya rose ni nyina mo mo dide mu fefefe yenkwa de na ya politicians de na ya omo midimanuesi.
He's a tailor and he was also talking about how his wife, even though she uses a company car that's supposed to drop her off at her exact destination, they refuse to come all the way up because the road is that bad and they risk ruining the vehicle parts. It's a very sad situation here because I wish you could experience the driving along these roads while coming up here and then listening to the people lament about how, the road is affecting their livelihoods and their daily lives. This has been the Citizens Microphone on Joy News AM show. When we catch up with Tina Mensah, we try and hear what she has to say about all of this. Over to you.
Welcome back on the AM show from Weija-Gbawe. We come back into the studio and we're going to be talking about health, your health, my health. Well, the Keda Health and Wellness Center. This company provides a wide range, an array of natural health foods, products and services such as naturopathic wellness consultations, detox solutions, wellness therapies, pranic or energy medicine therapeutic massages, natural beauty products and coaching sessions. Well, to tell us a bit more about this group, we have Christine Chum, founder and CEO, Keda Health and Wellness Center. She says I should refer to her more as an alternative doctor and pharmacist. Well, Christine, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So I've read quite a bit about you. You are a transformational health and wellness coach, an American board-certified NLP life coach with a specialized, I got interested in this, grief coaching program. And you're an energy healer. I guess that's where the pranic bit comes in, right?
That's it.
Tell us a bit about what you do, even before we get into why you set up the Keda Health and Wellness Center.
Okay, so for us, it's just providing a holistic solution in a natural way, right, for our clients. So holistic, it has physical, mental, emotional. So that is why it's the food, it's the services, it's the energy, it's the coaching, all right, all together giving that holistic view. Should I say?
That all-round
360 degree, all right, because when you're aligned in all three, that's where your healing begins.
I see. Mentally, physically,
mental,
everything.
physical. I'll give you an example. You know, sometimes emotional problems cause physical symptoms.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
We all get to that point.
We'll get to that point in that. So let's say two people, Mary and Jane, walk into a pharmacy. They both have headaches. Okay. They walked in and they want paracetamol. Right. Mary's headache is from an actual illness. Maybe she's got malaria and it's given her the headache. If I give her that paracetamol, she'll be fine. Jane's headache is because her husband is having an affair. No amount of paracetamol is going to solve that problem. I need to deal with that bit of it. So that's where the coaching comes in. That's where the mental, emotional issues come in. All right. So when we deal with that, then the physical symptoms go.
Interesting perspective.
Yes.
Interesting. Same problem, different solutions.
Same problem. So we want to get to the root of the problem.
Why did you set up the Keda Health and Wellness Center?
You know, as a pharmacist, I actually wanted to impact my community in a different way. Right? I wanted to provide a natural solution to wellness. So we are going to eat anyway. Food is actually your medicine. If you look at most drugs, they originated from plants and herbs.
Yeah.
Okay. So you eat
Most
anyway.
Of them have organic components,
Exactly.
but they're also the synthetic.
Exactly. So you eat anyway. So why don't we just eat the foods that will make us healthy, that will boost our immunity, that will help us prevent disease? Okay. So that's the premise of it, because food is your medicine, and medicine really is your food.
And speaking of our food being our medicine, I just want us to maybe not digress, but looking at what we eat in this part of the world, especially in this part of the continent, we're heavy on carb-filled foods. Whether you're picking the banku fufu, kukunte, even the kukunte, there's a bit of drying. I mean, or the rice. I'm heavy on rice. Or all those components. There's a lot of carb, among others. You know, when you look at our eating habits,
you just hit the nail. I was going to say that, you know, in West Africa, you know, we're the largest consumer of carbohydrates in the world.
West Africa.
I didn't know that. Just as you said, all the food that you've mentioned just the carbs. If I ask you what you're going to eat this afternoon, what would you tell me? What would you
I
eat
just
this
had
afternoon?
carbs this morning.
What was it?
Rice.
So
Rice.
that's what people say. You ask what they're going to eat. They'll say, I'm going to eat rice. I'm eating banku. I'm eating kenke. I'm eating ampesie. They always start with the carbs, right? The trick, you know, our bodies are a machine. God in his wisdom made us the best machine ever. Everything works as it should. So just like a car, that's also a machine. You wouldn't put diesel in a petrol car, would you? Nor would you put petrol in a diesel car. You'd put the right fuel in your car. So we need to put the right fuel in our cars, our machine as well. So the trick is, and whenever I say this, people get a little... Your portion size for your carbohydrate per meal should be the size of your fist.
Carb size for a meal should be the size of your own fist. So
the bigger you are,
I'm going to have rice, a cup this size.
That's your portion size. The bigger you are, the bigger your fist.
If I am to go by that, I've already eaten more than my fist size this morning.
But you're filling your plate. You're filling your plate with
other components,
with
vegetables.
So when you take your plate, you divide that into two. One half should be either your fruits and vegetables. The other half of your plate, divide that into two as well. That quarter part up at the top, that's your carbs, your fist size, and the other part is your protein. So that's your guide for a healthy food plate. And you'll be surprised how full you'll be with all those vegetables.
I mean, that is true when you add other things. I added some spaghetti which had some veggies mixed with it and some protein. I admit I went a bit heavy on the protein this morning, which, of course, but I know it's my first meal of the day. They say you eat like a king in the morning. In the morning. Sometimes I don't usually eat at this time of morning, but today something was going on. So I ate like a king this morning. I know it's going to take through the day to digest and everything. So my other meals are probably going to be much smaller. Maybe have some fruits in there. And we're good to go.
So the trick is also always have your fruits in the morning. Always eat your fruits first. Fruits digest very quickly. 30 minutes, your fruits have digested.
Right.
Your main meal, a meal with carbohydrates and protein, will take 12 to 18 hours to digest. The mechanism of digestion is your food needs to break down, isn't it? Basically, you break down for you to absorb the nutrients and nutrition that you need. So if you have a heavy meal, a big one that's going to digest in 18 hours, and you put fruit on top, that will digest in 30 minutes. The fruit is going to break down on top of the other one.
Right.
You're going to get gassy. You're going to get bloated. You're going to feel uncomfortable. All right. So you must always do fruits
you want
first.
To do the fruits first.
Let that digest.
Comes on top,
there you go.
It helps.
The fruit will have digested already. So usually doing fruit as dessert is usually not
But
a
that's
good thing
what
to
we've
do.
done for donkey years
Yes,
in Ghana, elsewhere in the world. Same thing. You have those things afterwards. They still help. I mean, when you take them, they still help with your bowel movements and all of that. They still do, don't they?
They do. But the whole point is when you have this theory, all right, when you have this knowledge, you know that, okay, but try it and see. I've
done it before.
Put fruit and just see how you feel, all right, because it's so uncomfortable, all right, and you get really bloated. So you want to help your digestion process because the main reason why we eat is for nutrition.
Right.
You're feeding your body. You're putting that fuel in your body. So for every meal, ask yourself, is this food healing me or it's killing me?
Okay. Later, I'll throw something, I'll fling, not a hot potato, but something interesting at you that I found out recently. But let's get back, let's touch base. So basically, we are what we eat.
We are what we eat.
And we should be very careful what we put into our systems.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you wouldn't put petrol into a diesel engine or vice
versa.
All right. So what do you want to achieve at the center for your clients?
All right. For our individual clients, it's optimum health. As I said before, it's making sure that you are physically, mentally, and emotionally aligned. When we have all three, right, that's where your healing begins. You want optimum health. For our corporate clients, we want to increase your productivity because 50% of absenteeism at work is usually due to illness and sickness and people out of the office, right? So we do a lot of corporate wellness training for staff and employees. So we teach them and help them make sure that they are at optimum health because then it gives you more focus, more energy, more clarity, you work better. Productivity in the company increases. You're not paying that much money for medical bills, for your staff out of the office, you know, and medication, right? So that's what we want to do for everybody. Optimum health.
And as a follow-up, I would like to find out, what are your product and service offerings then? I mean, apart from what you've already told me. So your products, your services, what do you have on offer?
Okay, because you are what you eat, the first thing is we want to make sure you're eating the right things. So we have a health food store, okay, natural foods, natural skincare, plant-based supplements. And then we do the consultations, the diagnostic scans, the detoxes, the weight loss programs, your stress management. Stress. You know, so we do a lot of therapeutic massage, you know, pain management. And of course, the life coaching with the energy medicine.
Okay, so you talk about life coaching. Let's talk about that a bit. How does this coaching bit help with your health and wellness, so to speak?
Yes.
How does coaching, basically coaching, is it equal to health and wellness? How?
because you want to find the root. You want to go down to the root of the problem. Emotional, mental issues sometimes give you physical symptoms. So when we dig deep and we're able to sort out that mental and emotional aspect of your well-being, most of the time physical symptoms disappear. Okay? And it's also the same for the energy medicine. We all have an aura. We all have an aura.
I hear the pranic coming out.
Yes, we all have an aura. So sometimes we deal with the energy, your energy body, to deal with physical symptoms. So together, right, we want to be able to deal with the root cause of your problems, right? And make sure, we want everybody to be healthy and fit. You always want to be the best version of you. That's what we are aiming for. The best version of you.
Oh yeah, the best version. Some of us, we want to be here till this body must,
I said I'm going to live.
Simple, it must be here for a long
I'm going to live to 120. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, how come?
Oh, I want
120. No, because I want to do 122.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's my magic number.
Same here.
I'm surprised.
We'll be dancing at 120 then.
I'll see you at 120. I'll see you at 120. This message comes through. It's from Kwabena Asante. He says, "It's good you're showing this program. Thank you, joining you. It's a very good morning to you." Okay, so thank you very much, and we're glad. We're doing this because of you, of course, and so you know where to go to get the best for yourself by way of health. What I said I wanted to run by you.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've heard of Rishi Sunak's 36-hour fast. He does a 36-hour fast. I was just reading about it yesterday, from somewhere on Sunday to sometime on Tuesday. And he's just taking tea and drinking water to keep hydrated and all of that. Some say there are two different ways. You eat, and of course, sometimes your body, your digestive processes give you the nutrients and everything. But there's also a way where it can do different things. In other words, it can go after, when you go through such a fast, instead of now it depletes the store of fat or whatever food, and now it goes on the fat, okay? It starts breaking that down, of course. That would also give you a flatter tummy and all of that. But some have also questioned the health of it. I just wanted to run it by you. I know I'm throwing a hot potato at you.
No,
what
it's
do you
okay.
think?
It's okay. That process is called autophagy, where you don't have a lot of
Autophagy,
stuff. You don't have a lot of food in it, so your body starts working on its own. Whenever you fast, you're just giving your body a chance to clear your digestive system. Give your digestion a little break, okay? The 36-hour, it's okay because he's still drinking teas and stuff like that. If he's doing the herbal teas, he's still going to get the nutrition he needs. But you're giving your body a break, all right? I know about it.
But your energy levels won't be the same.
I'll tell you something. There are times when I do what I call a 7-day raw food diet. For 7 days, I don't eat anything that is cooked. Okay? What that does is that because the food is raw, all I'm getting is maximum nutrition. Whenever you cook food, it's going to break down. It takes away part of it. So if everybody can do even just one meal a day that is raw, okay, you're going to get, so it's once a week, isn't it? But 52 days of really good, nutritious food. And a lot of people ask, "Oh, Christine, what am I going to eat that's raw?" Your fresh juices are raw. Your fruits are raw. A salad is usually raw. Even when you do a smoothie, you're putting a lot of raw ingredients in and just blending and drinking it.
Funny, I like taking, those, I've forgotten the name. You see those tomatoes, the
cherry tomatoes.
Cherry tomatoes.
Yes.
I eat them raw. I love tomatoes, by the way.
And it's really good for your prostate.
Yeah, so I hear.
Yep.
So here we go.
Yep.
No wonder the last time I went, they said my prostate was in tip-top shape.
You see? It's fantastic for prostate,
I see.
So it's just same thing. The thought process should be, what is this food doing for me? Right? Just be conscious of what you're putting in your body, right? Because you just want fuel. You want to fuel your body. You want the best nutrition possible. That's what we want.
Keda Health and Wellness Center. Before you, I don't know whether you have any other comments before you tell us about where you're available online and how people can reach out to you. What else should our viewers know?
Also, try and eat by color. For every meal, by color. different colored foods give you different kinds of nutrition. They help in different ways.
Okay, so the greens will give you
So your
something,
greens
red,
will give you, your greens are going to help with your bones. Calcium, lots of strong bones, greens. Your reds are good for your heart. Your tomatoes, your watermelons. Yeah.
The red pepper as well?
The red peppers. All your red foods.
The bell peppers.
The bell peppers, your actual chili peppers as well. All your red foods are good for your heart. Your orange foods are good for your eyes. Your yellow foods boost your immunity. Okay? Your white foods help to fight disease, lower blood pressure. Okay? So for every meal, put at least 2 colors on your plate.
Here we go, color coding.
There you go.
Color code our food. Let's color code our food.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we've been eating them without knowing about all this
There you
color
go.
coding.
Yeah. But a lot of times, people, if you look at your plate, it's usually one color: jollof and chicken. Brown. Put some color in there. Yes, lots of nutrition.
Spice it up.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting conversation.
Fantastic.
How do people reach out to you?
Okay. We are located not far from Joy FM. So all Joy FM, you have no excuse, right? We're just down the road, Fanafa Road, number 7 Fanafa Road. We're available online, and it's so easy for people. We want to make it easy for you to be able to get the best food to eat. So online at www.kidahealth.com, because we deliver all around Ghana and internationally around the world. Okay. Telephone numbers 050 133 7836.
One more time.
050 133 7836.
Okie doke. So make your way here, Fanofa Street. It means I think I've spotted you before. Now it comes to mind.
Yep.
And I should swing by someday.
You should.
I'm sure I'd get a good package. But make your way to them, and of course, your health is your wealth. If your health goes south, your wealth of whatever nature will also go south. And I'm going to pronounce it the way she did. You know, around these parts, you pronounce certain things and they say, no, it must be. So, KIDA, Health and Wellness Center. And of course, we hosted Christine Chum. She is founder and CEO. And of course, she also is an alternative doctor and pharmacist. Thank you, Christine, for joining the conversation. Stay with us on the AM show. There's still a bit more time, and we're going to be engaging you on your thoughts. Today, we've been to Weija-Gbawe, AM on wheels, and the people were complaining in the Gbawe area, the roads and some of the things. But if you're in that area, you can reach out to us. We also had that conversation on health and why most of our health facilities lack even the basics. Can you imagine? These pharmacies and the rest in our health facilities, only about 10% have thermometers. We are not even talking ventilators and defibrillators, thermometers. Share your thoughts with us when we return after the break. Welcome back on the AM show. It's the final leg. In 2 or 3 minutes, we have to get out of here, but we'd love to hear from you, yeah? All the talk we've had this morning on health in Ghana and the deplorable state of everything. We went to the Ifyankwanta Hospital, among others. What is your reflection on that? We also just shared a bit to you about, well, how eating what you eat is actually a determinant of how well you will be. You can call through if you have any thoughts to share with us. The number is 0302-211-691. 0302-211-691. What's on your mind? Do share with us. In the interim, before your calls come through, if any, I'd like to celebrate Mercy Day Nikwe. Mercy Day Nikwe. I hear it is day, not day. Mercy Day Nikwe. You are 4 today. And your dad, your sweet dad, is celebrating you. He's filming me right now, so you'll get to see it. Mercy, good morning to you, and we wish you the very best. Happy birthday, okay? Enjoy. All right, on to our first caller, Raphael in Takrade, is it?
Yeah, this is Raphael.
All right, Ralph, what do you have for us this morning?
Okay. what I have for you is, I've realized something in our health system. You know, most of the time, we emphasize on the training of the doctors, the nurses, and co. But we don't emphasize on the training of the health equipment technicians and engineers. So some of this equipment, when it breaks out, when it breaks down, who takes care of it? Or who attempts to repair it? I saw the lady nurse when she was being interviewed. She said they have a defibrillator, which the battery is irreplaceable.
Right.
So at the moment, the battery is there and it's not working. But if there is a health equipment engineer at the facility or technician at the facility, the equipment needs energy to work because the equipment is functioning. The only thing missing here is the energy for the equipment to function. So if there is an engineer at that facility, he will find a means of providing that equipment energy to work. But because we don't emphasize on those professions, most of the equipment are at our various health facilities. Maybe it is just a small fault.
I understand what you mean. I've got those, and we spoke about it today, but not in depth. I've got reports from Kolebu and the rest, some of the machinery that has broken down. It actually is on the back of that. Engineers could resolve it, but sometimes it becomes problematic. Thank you very much, Ralph. It's a crucial point you've made. Thank you so much for calling. If we have another caller, we can take one more, squeeze in one more. If not, we have to go. But I think I saw this on Facebook earlier today, Joy News on Facebook. They were asking if you could reflect the current circumstances of Ghana with a song, a current song or anything. Which song would that be? I'm just curious. Maybe you can shoot a response there on Joy News on Facebook. Well, it's been interesting hosting you this new day. We have a final caller. Okay, so we'll do this. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Victor.
All right. You have 30 seconds. Let's go.
Akaku, listen, let me tell you one thing. This country is full of rumor-mongers, liars, backbiters, thieves, and illegal fanatics.
Is that it?
And we do what is right, but we will never, ever going to do it.
All right. We know what is right, but we'll never do what is right. Next time, though, when you call, just lower the volume on your set. We could hear the echo. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Together with Sweetie Abochi, we served you breakfast this morning. Catch us same time tomorrow, and let's tango. In the meantime, Joy News Desk is up next. I've heard the voice of Aisha Ibrahim somewhere in the background. We'll be back.